Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, Successor Agency, Calexico Finance and Authority regular meeting, July 2nd, 2013, 6:30 p.m. We'll start off with our legal report from Ms. Foster.
Yes, the City Council met in closed session at 5:30. There's no reportable action from closed session.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. City Clerk, please note the attendance. All council members are present today. And we'll start off our Pledge of Allegiance, led by Ms. Norma Aguilar, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, need an approval on the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we change the item 12 to at the beginning of the meeting?
We discussed that earlier, and I was mentioning that today we have an extremely important item, item number 5, which is the discussion and or action on the adoption of the resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving the agreement with Corsair, which is our Grand Plaza project. So being that that is a very important item, and the other is not as priority as I believe we're going to go ahead and allow our agenda to remain the same. Thank you.
Okay.
Did you have another question?
I believe I second to Mr. Castro's.
Okay, we are in an active vote at this time, and we do have already 4 votes, Mr. Kim, if you'd like to place your vote. Thank you very much. Moving on, before we start today's meeting, I'd like to be able to recognize the 19 firefighters that lost their lives in Yarnell, Arizona. And I ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Our hearts go out to those that were lost, and that their families find solace as soon as possible. Okay, moving on then, announcements, public appearances, and public comments. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session or consent item, please comment now. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when you get to that item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Okay, let's see. We've got Ms. Socorro Juarez. You gave me a slip, but you didn't say what you wanted to talk about. What item is that, Ms. Juarez?
Sí, señora.
Dispénseme, señora Juárez. ¿Cuál es el...?
El motivo es lo que yo siento, tengo 45 años residente.
¿Cuál? Sí, mire, dispénseme. Aquí en la lista de las cosas que vamos a platicar, en cada artículo, ¿cuál es el que quería usted comentar? ¿Algo en general o algo en particular?
Algo en general.
¿Algo en general? Ok, ándale, pues entonces, si gusta pasar de una vez, señora. Tiene 3 minutos para hablar. ¿Va a hablar usted en español?
Es el único idioma que entiendo.
Muy bien. She's going to be speaking in Spanish for those of you who do not speak Spanish. Yes.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Socorro Juárez, tengo 45 años residiendo en Calexico, California. Tengo 48 votantes registrados para votar. Mi comentario de esta noche es decir, todas las personas que están en el concilio no están porque están bonitos, ni porque se quieran, ni porque no se quieran. En toda mi vida no he visto un concilio tan desordenado como ahora, que hay clicas. Y eso no le parece a los residentes. Ustedes están aquí para servir a la comunidad, porque la comunidad es la que los elige. Y no se les olvide que las críticas quedan para las tortilleras, no para ustedes que nos están representando, porque nosotros los pusimos allí, para representarnos en nuestras necesidades, para hacer decisiones favorables para la comunidad, no para provecho de uno o de otro. Yo en 45 años es el primer concilio que miro cómo trabaja. Voy a hablar con el señor Moreno porque él tiene un apellido muy fuerte. Yo con el señor Willy Moreno no va a haber otra persona que representó este concilio y que participó con la gente humilde, lo digo, porque yo tuve mucha ayuda para él, para la gente de bajos ingresos, y él no se avergonzaba de irse a juntar con nosotros. Y ahora miro que se sientan allí y creen que son los dueños del pueblo. No, señores, los dueños del pueblo somos la comunidad. Y somos los que los tenemos allí para representar nuestros intereses, no para que se estén sacando la garra unos a los otros. Y como dijo Cristo, el que esté libre de pecado, que tire la primera piedra. Y yo soy una persona que no puedo tirar la primera piedra porque no soy soy una pecadora igual que todos. Y ese es mi concerno de esta parte, que están aquí para servir a la comunidad, que no se les olvide, no son dueños de esos lugares, están por la comunidad y para la comunidad. Los problemas personales, arréglenlos afuera, es una vergüenza. Yo ahora estoy muy contenta porque tenemos representantes que en realidad les interesa la comunidad, qué es lo que queremos y necesitamos. Calexico ha sido un pueblo muy desproporcionado porque el concilio se está agarrando. ¿Qué es lo que le dejan a la gente de afuera? Si van a seleccionar un jefe de policía, tienen que traer un alcohólico, tienen que traer uno que venga de que ya lo corrieron de muchas partes, y cuando tienen una persona que es competente, les esculcan hasta con quién se acuesta. Y eso no es posible, señores. Que no se les olvide, y doy mi nombre y mi teléfono, y no tengo miedo de decirles que están para representar la comunidad, que son la que los puso aquí.
Gracias,
no
señora.
están absolutos.
Señora Juárez, muchas gracias.
Así
Gracias.
es que, señores, que no se les olvide
Señora Juárez, solamente son 3 minutos.
que no
señora.
son dueños de los lugares que están por nosotros. Digo
Gracias.
por nosotros porque en mi familia hay 48 votos registrados para elegirlos.
Muchas gracias, señora.
Gracias.
María Ambriz, and your subject is the swimming pool?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. It's really nice to be here tonight to relay some positive information. As you all are aware, the Calexico Unified School, Maria Ambriz, Superintendent of Calexico Unified School District. Forgive my lack of manners for not introducing myself. Anyway, I'm here to relay some positive information. As you're all aware and the community is hopefully aware, Calexico Unified School District and the City of Calexico have been working collaboratively for the past few years, even before my own tenure as superintendent began, with reconstructing the swimming pool that is located at Calexico High School, and that it is a joint venture because it's used by the students of Calexico High School during the school year and the students of Calexico Unified also at the end of the school year, and then by the community at large during the summer months. It's with great pleasure to let you know that we have been able to send our architectural plans off to the Division of State Architects through our architect, Jimmy Sanders, and the fee for the pool plans being approved through DSA have also been sent to the Division of State Architects, and we are looking forward to hearing something positive from them within the next 6 to 8 weeks, and our hope is that we'll be able to break ground on the new Calexico High School swimming pool, at least because it's a 3-phase project, and hopefully we'll be able to break ground on the first phase by no later than the end of November of this school year, so that we can have students plunging in next June. So thank you very much. I just wanted to update the council on that. And thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council, for your efforts in supporting Calexico Unified School District in this great effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for that update on the pool. And yes, we have been working very hard together. Next speaker is Raúl Ureña.
Who's on deck?
And Mr. Javier Gonzalez is on deck, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raul Ureña. I'm a student here at Calexico High School, and I wanted to touch upon a topic that's been a bit heated. I read about it in the newspaper, and this is about our mayor and her issues with Mr. Kim, Mr. Castro, and Mr. Hodge. Now, first of all, I wasn't invited to the circus, apparently, because they had that school board meeting that day. So first of all, my first complaint is please make your city council meetings so that the members that also go to school board meetings be informed of both city and school affairs. So that's my first complaint. Second of all, I think the whole thing is rather silly. I think that the whole charge of sexual whatnot is crazy, because I know Mr. Kim, I know Mr. Castro, I know Mr. Hodge. They wouldn't do such a thing. And even if they did, Mrs. Queen is not something to go and do a lawsuit over. It's wasting my money, it's wasting the money of the people for something that you could easily take into a personal affair. Please don't bring the city into this. If you're gonna go pursue a sexual lawsuit, go ahead and do it. If you feel harassed, if you feel like they're breaking the law, by all means, go get your justice. But do it personally, don't waste our money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ureña. Next is Mr. Gonzalez.
Honorable Mayor, Council, to Javier Gonzalez, 237 Hernandez. I just want to add that I also read the newspaper, and I've been very active in city politics and campaigning. And ever since I remember, the elections were held in June. Right after June comes July. Yesterday, we started our new budget. It hasn't been approved. Yesterday, we started our new fiscal year. Yesterday, a new mayor should come in. I don't have anything against the current mayor. I do think that every July we should reorganize for a mayor to come in when the budget starts. That was the prior policy for as long as I can remember. I don't know who changed it to November. November usually are presidential elections or runoffs, but we always vote in the primaries. June. Whoever changed it to November, I don't know why. Maybe it was going to be more votes out there during the presidential elections. But it's very important. I have nothing against the mayor. You can appoint her again. We need to get a mayor that begins in July. Whoever it is, starts in July. I wouldn't want to be the mayor and come in the middle of the budget or in the middle of the fiscal year. Because you know the government doesn't work from January to December. It works from July to June. So I think as a citizen, I want to request that this be on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't know if council members want to recommend that, but we should bring it back to June. That's the way it should be. Nothing personal against anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Ms. Diana Cortez, please.
Buenas noches o tardes. Pues igual que todos, ¿verdad? Estuvimos informados, no sé si bien por el periódico o mal informados, sobre lo que está ocurriendo en nuestra ciudad de Calexico. Es una vergüenza lo que está pasando. Yo soy mujer y me siento y me da pena ponerme al frente y hablar, o sea, porque estoy siendo representada ahorita por una alcaldesa que es mujer, en el cual yo, cuando se iniciaron los votos, estuve trabajando para ayudar a la gente que se hiciera ciudadanos para que votaran, en las cuales yo les recomendaba que en Calexico necesitaba un cambio. Había muy pocas mujeres que estaban corriendo. Yo dije, bueno, suena su apellido mexicano, necesitamos un cambio, mujer, vamos por un cambio. ¿Qué está pasando ahora? Una mujer enfrente, en el concilio de Calexico, está creando problemas, no está solucionando problemas. La ciudadanía, la comunidad, siempre se los he repetido, siempre he estado diciéndoles, y no me lo van a negar porque está grabado, les he dicho, les he pedido que por favor sean parte de la solución, no parte del problema, que ustedes nos representan, nosotros los escogimos para que nos representen. ¿De qué manera quieren que el pueblo se les diga? ¿Quiere que la gente, la comunidad se levante y hagamos un circo mayor? O sea, ¿o la novela que se está diciendo? No, creo que ya debemos de madurar y quitarnos esas niñadas de la mente y cosas personales y ver por el bienestar de nuestra ciudad de Calexico. Sus cosas personales arréglenlas en otra parte o vayan con un terapista por si tienen algún problema. O sea, no sé, piensen bien, no quiero ofender a nadie, pero me gustaría que, o sea, la gente se acercara a mí y me dijera, oye, ¿tú a quién nos recomiendas? Ya me da pena decir a una mujer, porque es la que más está causando problemas aquí en nuestra ciudad de Calexico y está haciendo que se gaste la ciudad fondos, dinero en otras cosas cuando necesitamos calles pavimentadas, necesitamos mejores parques, necesitan los niños a sus albercas, a un lugar donde puedan pasar mejor el calor. Se necesita tantas cosas. Hay gente, como está alguien aquí presente, que estuvo en mi comité. Siempre le dije, tú no haces ni dejas hacer. Por favor, concilio, miembros del concilio, hagan, por favor, cooperen con la ciudadanía. Dejen hacer a los que quieren hacer. Muchas gracias.
Okay, that's it on the public comments. Is there anyone else that would like to talk on public comments? Okay. Anyone else that would like to talk on public comments? Anyone else that would like to talk about, come on in, come on in, come on over. I prefer that you provide that slip now. Just go ahead and take that slip up there now, please. We're just going to take one moment, Ms. Cordero. I want to make sure I give everybody the opportunity. However, this will be the last call. So anyone who would like to speak, please take your opportunity now. We have a lot on our agenda today. Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Cordero, I'm so sorry. I believe that's it. So as far as the slips for public comment, no more public comment slips will be received after now, okay? So go ahead, Ms. Cordero. I'm sorry.
My name is Yoli Cordero. I live at 702 Gonzalez Court in Calexico. I've been a citizen of Calexico for all my life. I won't give my age, 54. Anyway, I don't know if I should say this in Spanish so that everybody can understand. You understand? Great.
Go ahead, whatever you like.
I'm also the chairperson for the Finance Advisory Board, okay? I listened to all your comments, and I read the paper too, and there's always two stories, or there's two stories to everything. I liked what the older lady, I don't know what her last name was, the first one that spoke, Ms. Juarez. If you haven't done anything, then you throw the first rock, and I very much believe on that. Being in the Finance Advisory Board from February I've been on it for 3 years, going on 3 years, but we've been working extremely hard on it. Every week, we meet every Monday from 6:30 to 8:30, and we're getting involved in all the finances of the city. There's a lot of things that the city of Calexico, the people of Calexico don't know, okay? But all that stuff is going to come out in due time, okay? The problems of the city of Calexico are in here, in there, in the city of Calexico, the people that are running the city of Calexico, okay? We all voted to put the city council here. They're supposed to do their job, okay? And do what is best for the community. In the last 10 years, we've had, I believe, at least 4 or 5 city managers. What does that tell you? There hasn't been a consistency. That's why the city's a big mess. That's why there's no money for streets. That's why there's no money for pools. That's why there's no money for recreation. But you know who's done all this wrong? Your city council, the people that you guys keep on putting here, okay? Because they need to do their job. But they're too busy fighting with each other that they don't have time to see the other problems that is going on within the city, okay? Again, there's a lot of things that are, and I'll tell you this, if Calexico, and do the math, if Calexico has a budget of $18 million, why are we spending $15 million in payroll? That's the math. We only have $3 million to run the city of Calexico the whole year, okay? So the problem is here. The problem is in management. The problem is in our city council. They need to do their job, but they're too busy fighting each other, okay? And I'm in favor. I don't think the woman causes a problem, okay? Now, if men can't work with you or might not agree, and you have 3 of them or 4 of them ganging against you, I'm going to even defend myself. You don't know what goes inside the closed session meetings, because that's all private, okay? Now, you only hear one story, but you got to hear the other story too, okay?
Miss.
And I know, I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you. And as the months go by, you'll see me here, because I will give you a report of what's, as the finance part of it, and what the people of Calexico need to know. Because I don't think the people of Calexico should be breaking their back for all the errors that are being done, or they're not making the right decisions in management.
Thank you, Ms. Cordero. Mr. John Roma? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Go ahead, Mr. Bielma, and Mr. Romo, you're on deck.
On deck.
Sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Joe Bialma. I'm here as a citizen today. I live at 1221 De Leon Avenue. I'm also part of the police commission, but I'm really here to speak on behalf of, as a citizen of Calexico. What I see today is practically Ms. Cordero basically said it all, and she just took my speech for today. But I'd also like to speak out about something on this item number 12 of the movement of the mayor. Let's have some common knowledge here and understand that if someone files a lawsuit for thinking that they've been violated, let's respect that. Let justice take its own course. It seems like right now, council's trying to do something and take justice on their own hands. What I'm seeing here is a big circus. It seems like everybody's always, I don't see this council going anywhere for the longest time. It just seems like we're not progressing. I haven't been involved in much in politics just until recently. But seriously, it just seems like there's too much fighting amongst this council. I just feel for the city of Calexico, because It's common knowledge that you don't make a move like this after a lawsuit has been filed. All it's going to create is another lawsuit. This is what you call I did. So, like I was saying, this is just something that's going to just create more turmoil, and eventually it's going to just cause more money in the long run. And the only one hurting here is going to be the citizens of Calexico. We need to understand that we need to come together now and start working together. As an example, I wasn't really too. I was against the hiring of the chief, but now that I've talked to the chief and we've come together and talked a few things out, I gave him an opportunity. I gave him an opportunity to see what he had to say. And seriously, it looks like we're clicking. And I think you guys need to sit down and start talking, because the only one that's going to hurt here is the city of Calexico. We need to stop wasting taxpayers' monies. There's a lot of lawsuits that have been taking place and that the city, citizens of Calexico don't know, I'm not aware of. We just need to stop it. This circus needs to stop immediately. And I think we have all those concerns by every citizen tonight
10
has
seconds.
been saying it. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabby?
Who's on deck?
Good evening, members of the Assembly and council members. Council, Mr. Rodriguez, everyone. My name is John Romo. I'm a resident of the city of Calexico. I've heard 3 comments, and I concur with all the comments. I'm a neutral person. I'm accessible. I'm a consultant in many areas. I'm currently with a county, and I provide services. My question is that, well, I concur with the rest of the people that have said that it is a problem. It starts in here. I don't care who it is. I don't care 10 years back. I'm talking 10 years back, 15 years back. And I left politics because of that. And I've been in politics since the 60s. So nobody's going to tell me how politics works. I don't care. It starts with the services from the city of Calexico to the residents, because that's why you get appointed, elected, or selected. Now, I am accessible. Mr. Kim, can Mr. Kim be accessible? Can Mr. Castro be accessible if we call him? Can Ms. Hurtado be accessible? Can Mr. Hodge be accessible? Can Mr. Moreno be accessible? Can Mr. Rodriguez be accessible if we call him? That's my question. Because you are to provide services. I love my police department. I don't care who got appointed as chief. I'm neutral. The thing is, the problem is what they all said. I concur. Can council be accessible to me? I don't know. But I think the solution here is just to cut it shortly, because I want to speak in all subject matters. Just to cut it shortly, you need to reevaluate your positions, your role as councils, and realize that the community elected you to be our representatives. We do not yield our sovereignty to you. And it's not your job to inform us what you think that we should be informed. We should be informed of everything, because you are public servants. And that is a true fact, and that is law. I have nothing against you. I don't belong to any interest group. I just want my services.
10 seconds,
people's
Mr. Romo.
services. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to have you clarify for me, Mr. Romo. You said all line items, but I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Every subject matter.
Which ones? There are 14 line items, Mr. Romo.
Yeah.
I'll clarify with you right now.
If I need to speak, I'll raise my hand.
I'll ask you every time, okay? Okay, did I see somebody else had a slip? Mr. Alarcón, did you want to give me a slip?
Sure.
Is that for public comments?
Maybe last call, but if you...
Well, I could see that you have that. I'd rather have it now. Is it for public comments? Is it for public comments? Mr. Alarcón, is it for public comments?
Yes, what else would it be?
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I didn't.
What else would I be here for?
There's 19 items. I don't read mine, sir. Okay, so you want to go ahead and go now, Mr. Alarcón, or would you like to wait for the last?
Mr. Romero, since he went up before me.
Okay, sure. Mr. Romero, would you like to go ahead and be next? Where are you at? And you have comments for public comments.
Yes.
You have 3 minutes.
Daniel Romero. I'll keep my address private since I learned that from a prior citizen. And Mayor Hurtado, rest of the City Council. One of the reasons that the rotation of the election or the appointments of the mayor from July to November was because one of the pending issues every July, and more so this year than I recall any other year from recent history, is that the administration has not been able to finalize the agreements with all the different unions. So this way, when the mayor comes in November, all agreements should be in place, and the mayor can and the council can work towards the rest of the year instead of still dealing in July of trying to finalize some of the agreements with the unions. By November, they usually are already complete. Now, the issue of the claims against the monies being spent on the claim that the mayor has done, people need to consider that these are pennies, and I mean pennies, to what is comparison to other things that go on in the city. Ms. Garcia Cordero mentioned the issue of the salaries. She mentioned that she gave an example of 18 million and 15 million goes to salaries. Well, with the other 3 million, you're taking care of little of other necessities, but there are other cases. And I can assure you that whatever this situation may cause, not that will cause, but may cause the city of Calexico, it's not going to keep from another park being done or another street being paved. As far as for item 12, to be reverted back from December to July, to me it reeks of retaliation. The thing here is you have council members who have a strong leadership with the mayor and a very professional at that, and apparently they're not in agreement with it. And so, if anything, good luck, Mayor Hurtado, for what goes on later today. And hopefully that the council in general will keep the appointments back, still in November or in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mero. Mr. Mohamed Asiad. Oh, you want to be next, Mr. Alcon? Go ahead. No preference.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rudy Alarcón. I represent the Calexico Police Officer Association. Where do we start? So much drama going on here in this council, and unfortunately it's being brought by one person. And that person would be the mayor, Marisa Hurtado. You know, and I'd like to bring a point to everyone. Everyone seems to focus on the fact that she's a female or male. That doesn't matter. If you recall, in November, the association came up here and spoke to you guys and told you that we believe that she was not ready. We believe she was not mature enough to handle this position. And today, ladies and gentlemen, is living proof of her immaturity. You are all witnesses. She only applies the rules and regulations when it's in her favor. You all heard her say, last call. No one will be allowed to speak anymore. Mr. Romero decides to change his mind, turns in a slip late,
and because it's someone who's in her party, someone who's going to speak in favor of her, she allows it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're tired of this hypocrisy. Let's be professionals. Let's get on. Let's move on. This has nothing to do with whether she's a male or a female. It has to do with her maturity level, her inability to be fair to everyone across the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larcon. Last one is Mohammed Asyad.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Mohammed Asyad. I live in 1709 Elena Drive. I have a degree, my degree MD in family practice. Plus, I have a master degree in business administration, as well a master in education and a degree in biology, just to let the audience know. I'd like to welcome our new chief of police because I believe, he is now getting into his, duty and working as an officer for the community at 3 in the morning, like an officer. I think he's just showing that he's interested in the city. And I agree with Mr. Joe, I don't know the last name, I'm sorry. We need to respect democracy, and everyone has the opportunity to speak. Calexico is America. It's not Russia, it's not China, it's not Syria. We live in a democratic country, so we need to focus on things that concern our citizen here, which is very important than just wasting taxpayer money on many things. If we're gonna be every time somebody disagree with one, we're gonna go into the very extreme. Safety is important in Calexico. We're trying to recruit more money and funds from congressmen, I just spoke to the senator in Sacramento. We need to bring the governor. I've been asking the council to invite the governor and show him how much we are suffering here as a community protecting California's border, not only Calexico border, but California. We need to get this money moving. We need 30 officers. We haven't focused on anything but just disagreeing. We have so many ugly streets in Calexico that it looks worse in parts of Africa that I have visited, with my respect to Africa, and even Saudi Arabia. The trees are dying in Calexico. We like to get an updated on our air pollution. This is very positive thing to see how the air inequality in Calexico. We need to lower our fees and find out a new development. We need to focus protecting our youth. We have been losing every day a young man. It's on the drugs or accident or in the canal. We need to focus on things for the community and not really to waste the time and the effort on things is not going to get at the end for anything. So thank you very much, and I hope the council really have positive energy and move forward to serve the community and whatever it's voted by the citizen of Calexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asyad. Okay, moving on to our general comments by council members, starting with Mr. Kim.
Thank you for community to participating in one of the process. I believe we have several important issues, but I agree with Ms. Hurtado. We have a lot of big issues today. We are issuing the lots of bond. The bond is we borrowing the money for someone else, not for you guys, for citizens. We borrowing the money for some of the property owner to give the money to them. On the sacrificing our service.
Point of order, Madam Mayor, I believe that is on the agenda, and Mr. Kim should not be speaking on that item at this point. This is just general.
This is my council comment time.
Just public comment. Yeah, I mean, it might be suggested that you may want to relate your comments at the
yes,
time.
Yes, I'm gonna do more details. I'm just gonna briefing pass. And I believe we all we all have responsible. Because what we are here, because what we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they approved a lot of bonds. Calexico has more than 10 bonds in the right now. So be aware that you, as a community member, has a responsible to work together with the council to leading us to go to right directions. And I'm not going to have a much shiny speak, because I'm tired to try to talk nice and then don't do nothing. And actually talk nicely and then they screw this community. I have some kind of the grand information to maybe benefit for the community. The one of the repair for the rehabilitation rural housing, and I believe the $4.2 million and right now they posted, deadline is August. And the other one, improve rural economy, they have another $300,000 maximum grant, USDA. And the other one is the lending and the investing in U.S.-Mexico border community. They have $2 million available. They have increased rural affordable housing. They have, from the HUD, they have another $500,000 available for the maximum grant. And this kind of we have, and we not function right, we miss the service to the community. We need to work together to try to bring the benefit for our community. We need to make the better conditions of the living. The community members, citizens of the Calexico, they can be happy to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Castro?
No comments at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Hodge?
No comments, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Moreno?
Yes, I got a couple of comments. I'd like to remind all our citizens that the 4th of July, Crumit Park will be hosting a celebration from 5 to 11. It may start sooner, may start tonight, but just hopefully all of you get out there. Also, I'd like to mention that I was at the open house for Senator Ben Hueso, who has an office on State Street in El Centro, and that we can work closely together for our community and his voice in the state Senate. I'd also like to congratulate the Lava Lamp winners who were honored last Friday at the Chamber of Commerce annual dinner membership. And I'd like to state that the Pioneers Memorial Hospital is starting a community board within the city of Calexico, so that the city of Calexico has a voice on some of the healthcare needs that this community is facing. So we're just starting up. Anybody that's interested in helping out in the Pioneers Memorial Hospital district, let me know. I've already mentioned this to Mr. Hodge. I know Mr. Hodge is an advocate for healthcare in the community and many things in the community. So I'd just like to end with that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. I'd like to report that on the 22nd of July, thank you, Ms. Ambriz, for your report, if you're still here. I'm not sure if I see you. Thank you for your report. We will be having our next swimming pool meeting on the 22nd of July. And just for those that were not able to listen to what she mentioned, we have submitted the plans to the state of California for the first phase of the construction of the pool. And we should be seeing some activity by the year end as far as construction. So the pool committee continues to work hard, which is yourself, Mr. Hodge, and mine. And we had a slight a delay there when the school district was going through their financial issues, but we're once again there. We have submitted the plans and we're moving forward. Just recently, last Tuesday, I had a meeting with a group of citizens here in the city of Calexico interested in initiating a farmer's market. And that idea is going to be together with the neighborhood house, who was also at that meeting. So it was a very productive meeting. Neighborhood house has already conducted quite a bit of neighborhood houses in other cities, so we're excited to work with the neighborhood house to bring a farmer's market to the city of Calexico. However, it is very warm. It is not the season for what we would like to display in our farmer's market. So our target date would be for a first market in October, with maybe a tryout previous to that, depending on the weather. The other item is that also with regard to the young man who drowned recently in the All-American Canal, I took it upon myself as mayor of the City of Calexico to promote a gathering, a meeting, to come to the table, the City of Calexico together with the Imperial Irrigation District and those first responders that were at the scene once the accident occurred. The relationship with the Imperial Irrigation District should be respected by the City of Calexico in that when I picked up the phone, I tried to call Norma Galindo and she was not available. Next person I called was Matt Desert, and I want to thank him because the moment he picked up the phone, it was yes. We were already thinking about it, Maritza. Let's go forward. Let's work on some solutions. We may not be able to yet give closure to the family that's out there now and suffering from the loss of their child. However, we can work together and find solutions to hopefully avoid any future tragedies. So I'm looking forward to that joint meeting with the IID, the school district, Border Patrol, Sheriff, and other first responders. The other thing I'd like to report is that I've also organized a July 11th meeting to be hosted here in the city of Calexico. I participate consistently with a binational committee on U.S. and Mexico border issues. Mr. Renison is consistently at those meetings and several of the staff members. However, today, this time, the 11th of July, the City of Calexico will be hosting that meeting. That meeting with these authorities is very important for the eventual, hopefully, new port of entry construction in the City of Calexico. It has been an excellent working group with information and putting heads together from the United States and the Mexican side for the same goal, to eventually have a new port of entry here in this location. And I'd like to also report that tomorrow there will be a meeting with LAFCO. Apparently we need to appoint a permanent member. Apparently there was some issues with the last election for the member, and we've been informed that we need to go back in there again and have a new vote, and we may have some different results. LAFCO is a very important organization for a city like this, so definitely want to be with them. With that, I believe that that is my report on the different activities and upcoming activities. I also, John, I guess I wanted to add that I also was asked to meet with the Pioneers Community Board, and what we did a lot in the meeting that I had with them was discuss the President's new affordable health care plan that will be affecting members of this community between what is a lower income family and a mid-range income family. So the concerns that I had from the recent training that I went to when I missed that last meeting is that it appears that we do need to educate the community quite a bit about affordable care, and that citizens are receiving as much information so that they will not end up being penalized by the IRS. So that's all I have to add. Mr. Rodriguez, did you want to provide a report?
Mayor, just a couple of items as we move forward. We try to showcase at least some departments. As you recall, a couple of meetings back, we kind of showcased the fire department. Tonight, we'd like to kind of showcase the parks department, which is under the community services. I know that's been on everybody's mind. Just a couple of things that we've been doing there. Installation of drinking fountains have been installed. The John Kennedy Park this week. People have been hired to install and assemble benches that were purchased under a grant. Those are going at Nosotros Park, Rodriguez Park, Las Casitas, Heber Park, Kennedy Gardens Park East, and Gutierrez Park, and Rockwood Plaza. So those are improvements that we are providing to the community. The movie days is continuing and has been very, very successful. 150 tickets are given out every week for community kids and youth to be able to go to our own theater here in Calexico. Staff under grants, staff attended the IID local entity competitive mitigation program meeting on June 20th for grant procedures and directions. We're looking to apply in order to provide for a couple of more dispatchers in our fire department. We realize that we're running short there, so we're going to put our hat in the ring and try and see if we can be successful in having the IID provide us with 2 additional dispatchers, as their regs at this point provide for creation creation of additional jobs. And what else would I think jobs with the city of Calexico are certainly jobs that are well worth keeping. And so we're going to be making a run at trying to pick up 2 more jobs through that particular competition. Under the Projects Works Department, we have tonight, we're going to be addressing some major issues regarding one of our major projects that we've had on the board for over 10 years, and we're finally seeing it come to fruition tonight with consideration of an agreement to move forward on the Calexico Grand Plaza project. We are already, the owners and our staff, our airport staff has already met with their people from Creative Solutions in order to plan the event, and we've been coordinating with FAA because, as you know, it's right next to our airport, so we have to make sure we coordinate any balloons or whatever is going up in the air, along with lights and any aircraft that may be coming in, and that is scheduled at this point for October 25th through the 27th. Also in the building division, plans are now being submitted, finalized and being submitted to the Planning Commission in order to provide for a major sign that will be installed at this particular project. Our ordinance requires that signs that run from 50 to 100 require, or over 45 feet require a CUP. So as you can tell, that's going to be a major sign that is going to identify one of our major developments here in Calexico on the retail side. We're hoping to call it our retail flagship in order to be able to compete with El Centro and their El Centro Mall. The building department has been very active for the month of May with 38 residential permits, 13 commercial permits, and 51 permits in total being issued. With that, I'd just like to take a little bit of time to formally introduce our new police chief that was sworn in my office on Wednesday, so he's on the job. Chief Pompeo Tavares, can you stand up, please? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, moving on now to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
I have a pull out.
You'd like to pull one, Mr. Kim?
Yes.
Which one?
Number 3, consent agenda, number 3.
Okay. Anyone else want to pull any other item? Okay. Do I have then approval for items 1, 2, and 4?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Approval for items 1, 2, and 4. Please vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Mr. Kim, you wanted to pull item number 3. You have a question.
Yeah, I think so. Including myself, a lot of people doesn't aware about the languages appropriations limit and the limit. I like to have a little explanation from the city manager.
I'm going to give you the short version. If you want the detailed version, I'm going to ask the finance director to come up. But the long and short of it, if you remember after Proposition 13 and 78, there was a lot of talk about lowering property taxes, and then the issue came up about trying to limit the expenditures that government could make relating to certain revenues that were coming into the city. And so they started what was called the GAN initiative, which was passed by the voters. And what that basically said was that regardless of certain revenue flows that the government receives, you can only spend so much based on this GAN initiative. Currently, our limit is $23 million, and that's a calculation of a per capita increment as well as population change that is used into the formula to come up with whatever this limit is. So currently, it's $23 million. That's what we're looking at tonight for the coming year, and our GAN initiative currently is at 13 million. So as you can see, we're $10 million behind our limit. So there is no problem with ever getting in trouble with the GAN limit that we're adopting tonight. That's a short version, and we can give you a real complicated version if you'd like, but as I told you earlier, Mr. Kim, I'm sure that there's some finance directors out there that don't even know how this computation is done, so we'll be happy to provide that if you'd like.
Thank you. I make the motion to, if nobody doesn't want to question anything, let's follow with the phone, microphone. I'd like to make the motion to approve it.
Second for discussion. One question, Mr. Rodriguez. This item on the agenda that we're voting on right now is passed every year.
That is correct. We have to do this calculation and approval by resolution every year.
No further questions?
Okay, did you want a second for approval?
A second for approval.
Okay, I have a first by Mr. Kim, second by Mr. Moreno. Please vote. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to our business items, item number 5 is a very important item for tonight, and apparently it looks like we will be having some presentation. Is that correct? Is there going to be a video presentation?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So I'm going to read this. It's discussion and/or action on adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving an agreement rate covenants by and between the City of Calexico and Corsair LLC, a California limited liability company, with respect to the development and operation of the Grand Plaza Outlet Shopping Center, public facilities, financing matters, and authorizing certain related actions. Previous to going forward with the presentation, I do remember I have one slip from Raul Ureña for item, sorry, I thought it was number 5. Never mind. So I have no slips for comments on that item, except Mr. Romo. I'm kind of...
Madam Mayor, motion to approve this item.
Second.
Okay.
Discussion.
Okay, Mr. Kim, did you have a question on item number 5?
Yeah, I was mentioning a little earlier, and I've been stopped it. So now it's the time of the talking. I need to talk about this. Calexico, we have a lot of out of service. We need to invest money and the time for our living condition in the Calexico. We have a bad condition of parks and road. And a lot of small business person, they are struggling to survive. When I went to the LA yesterday, it's a lot of business being closed down. And now we want to have, we're going to give the money, about $10 million to the public fund, to the private company from Los Angeles. And I am against any bond, issue the bond. That bond is tapping our future to try to use now. You're gonna have money, we don't have it. We're gonna have a big debt. I was mentioning earlier, what we have right now, because former council, they issued more than 10 bonds. That is the issues right now we have it, because they're tapping our revenue. We cannot use it, because they already tapped it. So we're gonna do tapping for the future income, for our sons and the younger generations, for the future of the Calexico. I believe that this business, whoever comes with the business for the Calexico, they're supposed to come with their own money, not from the benefit from the community. As a fellow council members, this is not your money. This is our community money. That's tax dollars money. We should be focusing to using our fund for the community benefit, not for the big companies. They are making nice relations with the several council members. And this law for this farm, this company, they had a lot of issues with out there, a lot of properties. Even they were engaging on the bribery on the city of Halton and the city of Halton. They are city of Halton. They are this city mayor has been perjury. They have been indicted, and the lots of fishes actions out there. Fellow council member, this is not your money. This is our community money. To make hopefully you make the right decision.
Okay, Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
I have a first and a second.
Before you go on and vote on it, I think we probably owe it to the public to do a short presentation.
Of course.
And let them know what this project is all about. As you know, this is one of our major projects that we've had here in Calexico. As I stated earlier, this is a project that we believe will challenge El Centro Mall and will put us on the map. So I think we owe it, since we've been working on this project hard and with diligence in the last over 2 years. I think we owe it to give a presentation to the public to let them know what we've been working on and what this project consists of. Having said that, we've got 3 representatives tonight that have been on the team to put this project together. And they are Ron Hawley, who is a representative here tonight of the owners, Tom Clark, who is our special counsel for this particular project, out of Stradlin, Yoka, Carlson, and Roth, out of Newport Beach, and Marshall Lynn, who is our financial consultant in putting this project together. So with that, I would like to ask Marshall Lynn to come in and give a short presentation on what this project's all about, and then I'm going to ask Ron Hawley from the owner's perspective to give us a couple of words, and then hopefully you can entertain that motion that you already have on the floor.
Thank you, Oscar, members of the City Council, the Mayor. This is really a tremendous night to be here. This hearing or this meeting basically represents a culmination over 5 years of sometimes painful and sometimes very tough process. But first, let me thank this City Council as well as prior City Councils for their diligence and for their ability to hang in there with us over a very long, protracted period of time. Without your backing and encouragement, this project would not be here today. My hat is also off to the owners of Corsair, who have worked with us very diligently over the last 4 to 5 years. They've been with us along every path of the road, sometimes a little hostile, sometimes a little difficult, but we all finally got to the goal, and that's for the construction and the completion of the project. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our Public Works Director, Nick Levin, sitting here in the corner, Jennifer Lyon, who has been the city's attorney for many years, Tom Clark, who I believe was just introduced, Special Agency Counsel, Gabby Garcia, who has been up late nights and weekends and you name it, getting documents ready. She's been an incredibly great trooper. And of course, Oscar Rodriguez, our team leader, who has been available for phone calls at all hours of the night and weekends. I'm not sure that Oscar has even slept for the last couple of months. But we are finally here at a time and place where it comes time for the City Council to make a choice, either to move ahead or not. The development of the Grand Plaza Shopping Center is a game changer for the city of Calexico. It is the most important shopping center that's been built in this city since the opening of the Walmart Center I believe back in the late 1990s. We are all aware of the damage that has happened to the core base of our stores here in the downtown area. One that only have to drive through downtown, vacancies, and you name it. Not an awful lot of sales tax coming into the city, and sales tax is the main driving force that provides you, citizens, this town, adequate police and fire protection on a day-to-day basis. The opening of the mall a number of years ago, El Centro, literally killed the downtown area. And again, I just ask you to drive through the downtown area, and it's for all intents and purposes in very bad shape. If the Commons opens up, which is a project that has been planned on US 8 and Highway 111, and if that does open up, that would drive the final nail into the retail base of the city of Calexico, which in the future will be extremely difficult to overcome or to turn it around. In fact, it may be very much impossible. As I stated before, Grand Plaza Phase 1 and 2 could very well be the most important retail projects ever built within the city. When Phase 3, the Power Center, if and when it's built, will make sure that Calexico is the retail center, not only of Imperial County, but Mexicali as well. So there's a great opportunity in front of us to do something truly great and to make sure that we have an adequate tax basis within this city to move ahead with the public services each one of you want. Rather get into the detailed staff documentation, we have a PowerPoint and we'll literally walk you through how the project is going to be funded. And I think this is very, very, very important because there's been a lot of information, which is wrong information, of how this project will be funded. So with that, we'll start off with the PowerPoint. Gabby, my trusted assistant here, will press the button and we'll move on our way. Grand Plaza, the largest retail center in the city of Calexico. Next, please. To give you a little bit of background, and I'll paraphrase this so we can go a little bit faster. Back up a little bit. In 2004, the Charles Company bought approximately 70 acres of land directly south of the airport, which all of us who have been here a long time know as the old golf course. The Charles Company initiated a dialogue with us, staff, relative to bringing in RDA funds to assist for the public improvements. If any of you have ever driven along the street in front of the airport, 2nd Street, it's really not a street. It's a gravel road with pavement on it. And it needs to be rebuilt, torn up, and we need a brand new street there, not only to serve the Grand Plaza, but to serve the airport or any other project that could be built, because that land along the border is extremely valuable land. So for the next 4 years, very, very little interest was brought forth on this project. Finally, with the opening of the mall, there was interest peaked, and finally the Corsair Company was able to get in touch with many firms such as IZOD, Coach, and you name it. And it was noted then that there was enough interest in the city, and that was enough interest in the city to bring in new types of stores to build a new outlet mall. But at that time, the city, after the analysis of all the documentation and all the financial aspect of Grand Plaza, stated that the city would need to fund up to about $7 million of public improvements in order to assist in the provision of infrastructure, and again, not only to serve Grand Plaza, but to serve the airport and properties due west of the airport. Next, Gabby. So with the RDA assistance promised, Corsair initiated a very, very aggressive national program and signed up enough national stores to feel confident that the project in Calexico would be viable. Finally, towards the end of 1912, and we all know by driving out there, projects initiated is now in the process of being built. Next, please. So today, and if you drive out there, you'll see buildings are up. In fact, approximately 250,000 square feet of slabs have been poured, vertical walls are starting to rise, the shopping center is taking place. Grand Plaza will be actually built in 2 phases. Phase 1 will consist of 250,000 square feet of retail space and scheduled to open between April 13th and February of this year, February 14th of 2014. Phase 2, when it is constructed, will be another 250,000 square feet and will be constructed in early 2013 and 2014. When fully developed, Grand Plaza will consist of approximately 500,000 square feet of new retail space in the city of Calexico, offering products not found by any other retailer within this city. Next, please. It's anticipated. So let's talk about what this means to the city. What does this really mean? It's anticipated that the city can expect about $450,000 in new sales tax revenue annual basis from Grand Plaza. In addition, the city can reasonably expect about another $100,000 of property tax from Phase 1, Grand Plaza, and another $100,000 of property tax annually for Phase 2 when it is completed. So Phase 2, when it's built, should once it's up and running, generate about $1 million of annual sales tax for a grand total of $1.4 million in new sales taxes. And when you include, of course, all the annual property tax, this figure jumps to over $1.65 million on a low estimate of new revenue coming into the city of Calexico, a city that is starved for sales tax revenue. And again, I point out to what has happened in the downtown area. There's tons and tons of vacant stores. Sales tax in the city has not been growing. The sales tax is the most vital source of funds for public service, ambulance, police, and fire within the city of Calexico. It's important to the lifeblood of this city. And when you inject $1.65 million of new money into the city, that's a lot of dollars. Next, please. Of even greater importance, I think, to the city is the prospect of additional employment opportunities. In fact, the city has averaged over the last 25 years an unemployment rate of about 20% annually. It's expected, and this is a very, very low estimate, that Grand Plaza at build-out phase 1 and 2 will employ about 500 full and part-time jobs. 500 full and part-time jobs, and that is a low estimate. Not only are the jobs important, but it would bring in approximately $20 million of new payroll money that hopefully will be spent within the city of Calexico. So it's a win-win there. Next, please. Of equal importance, not only of the phase 1 and phase 2, that Corsair, and I've had many, many talks with the owners of Corsair, are working right now on what's called a power center. Power center will be built directly west of the Grand Plaza, and it's anticipated the power center will have at least 1 million square feet of additional floor area and would generate an additional $2 million of sales tax revenue on an annual basis, plus approximately $100,000 more in property tax. So just on the power center itself, $2.1 million, and when you add up both phase 1 and phase 2, if my math is correct, it's somewhere around $3.7 million of new money coming into the city. That is a lot of money. It's anticipated that the power center could be built as early as 2015. Next, please. All right, there's been a lot of talk about how Grand Plaza is going to be financed, and a lot of misconceptions about how Grand Plaza is going to be financed. Let's talk about what's happening in the real world where the rubber hits the road. Corsair, the developer of Grand Plaza, is financing the actual construction, the actual building of what's going on there right now, and all the internal public works projects such as irrigation channels, and et cetera, through the use of private capital. Out of their pocket. No public money is being used for the private activity portion of the project. No public money is being used for the private activity portion of the project. The Corsair has requested that the city form a CFD, a community facilities district, which would provide bond proceeds to build a major portion of the public improvements necessary for the project. And we'll talk about that in a moment. The City Council will have an agenda item, should this agenda item pass, next on their agenda to approve the issuance of those bonds. Next, please. You will recall that in 2011, the city agreed to contribute through its redevelopment agency approximately $7 million of RDA funds for pay for public infrastructure improvements. However, we all know that redevelopment is no longer a viable tool in the state of California. In fact, redevelopment died in 2011. So that funding source is a source to build capital projects exterior to the property lines of the city died. So in order to make the project financially feasible, the city staff and Corsair agree that the only way to fund public improvements would be through the formation of a community facilities district. And by the way, this is the most viable way to fund infrastructure. Next, please. When a CFD is formed, when a CFD is formed, I want everybody to pay attention to this, it's formed at the request of the affected property owners, and a special tax then is voted on by that property owner and is levied on that property owner's particular property. As previously stated, the proceeds of the CFD bonds will be used to pay for public infrastructure needed for the project. Without the CFD, the infrastructure, the street widening and street improvements, 2nd Street, cannot and will not be built. As with all CFDs formed in the state of California, the city of Calexico will have no obligation whatsoever to pay debt service on these bonds. The city is not legally obligated to the bondholders in the unlikely event of a default. So it's not your money. If there's a default on these bonds, the collateral for the bonds, we'll talk about this in a moment, is the property itself. It's not an obligation of any individual in this room outside of the folks that own that property, Corsair, period. And that's a misunderstanding that's going around this city, and I want to set the record perfectly straight. CFD bonds are an obligation, a special tax on that particular property. It does not affect one other person within this room. Next, please. Generally speaking, for projects of this magnitude in the state of California, and we've worked on hundreds of them, all the way from malls to shopping centers and so on, almost every major project built within the state of California needs some type of public assistance. And to the best of my knowledge, there's never been a mall built in the state of California that has not had some type of public assistance. Never been a mall. Mall in El Centro received a tremendous amount of public assistance from the city of El Centro. Grand Plaza, when we analyzed the pro formas, what would make this a viable investment for the Corsair folks, needed about $7 million, and that was justifiable. Don't forget my prior comment. And Corsair is putting literally tens of millions of dollars of its own money into the project. So they are the ones at risk. They are the ones at risk. Next slide, please. The assistance will come in the form of a sales tax sharing agreement where the city will contribute as part of a set formula, and we'll talk about that in a moment, a certain amount of project-specific sales tax back to Corsair to help pay for the debt service on the CFD bonds. And don't forget, we did not have the RDA money that we told them that we were going to give it to them. We are going to go ahead and sell CFD bonds. The debt service will be paid for by a sharing of the sales tax revenue. A pretty neat way to fund this project. The city's contribution will only be made if the project meets predetermined levels of sales tax. Only if they bring in a certain amount of sales tax will they be eligible for any payment at all. First $300,000 of sales tax generated from the project, regardless of the debt service on the CFD bonds, will come to the city of Calexico. That will be used for any purpose that the city council sees proper, most likely for police and fire. Next, please. Now, here's the formula. It's a little bit complex, but I want to go through it as quickly as I can because I want you to understand how this works. This is extremely important for this whole entire project. The first $300,000 of sales tax revenue comes directly without any strings tied to it whatsoever to the city of Calexico. The next tranche of money comes to the city of Calexico. They pay the debt service on the CFD bonds. We're estimating debt service on the CFD bonds, depending on interest rates, which are starting to move up, of course, drastically, probably anywhere between $500,000 to $700,000 in debt service, and that's what the second tranche will be used for, to pay debt service on the bonds. Third, please. After subtracting the sales, the amounts described the sales in steps 1 and 2, sales tax, if and to the extent sales tax revenue remains an equal amount equal to the CFD share is, for computation purposes, is to be given to the city. So we get the $300,000, we pay the debt service, and then anything over and above that for the first tranche goes back to the city. And when there's an amount equal to that sales tax to the amount of debt service, that goes to a bond fund where what we will use to call bonds. In the practical world, we'll probably never reach tranche number 3. practical world, we'll probably have off of phase one enough money to pay the $300,000 in debt service on the bonds. The real money comes to the city of Calexico when phase two of this project is being built, because right now, at this particular time, there's no tax sharing agreement on phase two of the project. Next slide, please. As noted above, if the covenant agreement is approved by the city council tonight, it will govern the use of $700,000 of CFD money. That's the maximum amount of money that we will raise of CFD bonds. And $3 million, not 300, but $3 million, Measure D funding, which was voted on by all the people in the city of Calexico, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. This also will be added, and those monies will be used to pay for most of the pavement and the construction along 2nd Street. And again, I keep on reiterating it. 2nd Street is a necessary improvement for the expansion in the future of the airport, and for additional projects to be built along 2nd Street along the border. When sales tax comes into the city, again, it comes to the city, and the city council has the full authority to designate where that money goes. Next slide, please. If for some reason there's not enough sales tax money to pay all the debt service on the bonds, then Corsair will come out of pockets for the debt service. So let's say we reach the $300,000 and the check is sent to the city of Calexico. And let's say hypothetically the debt service on the bond is $700,000 and there's not enough money to pay for it, then Corsair comes out of their own pocket and pays the debt service on the bonds. Now again, I want to reiterate it. As previously stated, the City Council has no liability or obligation, no legal liability or obligation to pay debt service on the bonds. The ultimate collateral that secures the bond is the land improvements to the Grand Plaza. It's anticipated the bonds will have a coverage factor of 4-to-1. That means for every dollar of debt, we will have $4 of value actually into the ground. So if there is a default, the trustee can come in and cure the default and sell the land sell the project at a 75% discount. Next slide, please. In 2011, citizens of this city voted for Measure D, the Imperial County Local Transportation Authority Retail Transaction and Use Tax Ordinance. The primary purpose of the ordinance was to enact a 1/2% sales tax increase for all taxable transactions within Calexico, Wallace County, and other incorporated cities in the county. Bonds were sold in 2011 by the County of Imperial to provide funds to the county and participating cities to initiate roadway and other transportation and related projects. And these projects are chosen by each individual city. Next, please. City, upon the approval of the deal with Corsair, will use $3 million of the Measure D funds to make certain road and bridge improvements necessary for right along 2nd Street. 2nd Street Bridge and roads are on the approved eligible list for this particular type of funding. And again, for the third time, it should be noted that the 2nd Street road and bridges are necessary for the continued improvements of the airport property and properties westerly toward the edge of the city. Next, please. It should be clear that the City of Calexico's only public participation in the development of public infrastructure necessary for the Grand Plaza to open coming from Measure D funds and are not from the city's general fund. Not 1 penny of general fund money is coming into this project. Not 1 penny of general fund money. Measure D funds are supported by sales tax, by the general vote of everybody within the county of Imperial. CFD funds, the maximum amount of $7 million. The only source of payment is property taxes from the Corsair Grand Plaza development. Again, not 1 cent, and there's not 1 bit of legal responsibility for anybody in this room to pay any money at all should there be a problem with the payment of the CFD bonds. CFD bonds are sold literally thousands of transactions throughout the state of California, and it's probably one of the best ways to go ahead and fund fund improvements. And what is good about it, because the developer has the ability to fund these improvements at a tax-exempt interest rate, so the borrowing is a lot cheaper to it. Next, please. If Grand Plaza is not built, the city of Calexico will have a net out-migration of its sales tax dollars to El Centro and other retail centers in surrounding areas. It is essential. It is essential to both the short and long-term economic health of this city that new sales tax dollars be generated to pay for essential city services such as police, fire, recreation, etc. It's essential to the public well-being that new employment opportunities become available to the citizens of this city. So let's move forward for the good of the citizens of this city to ensure that we all have a bright economic future ahead of us. Thank you.
That was a little over a 5-minute limit, but I'll forgive you this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lin. Thank you very much. Very informative. It is obvious that the Grand Plaza is the project for the city of Calexico. And we're hoping that today we will have a positive result and move forward with lots of jobs and lots of tax dollars. And thank you to the Corsair Company, too.
Madam Mayor, before we move forward potentially to a vote, I'd like the owner of the rep of the owner, Ron Hawley, if he could provide us with some words from the owner.
Of course.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Ron Hawley, RH Properties. I'm a development consultant for Charles Company, who is the owner of Corsair. It's been a long, hard road. We got here after, as Oscar pointed out, and Marshall, about 10 years of effort. And it's been a rocky road, but we got there. I mean, there was a little bloodletting as we went along and a little bit of disagreement here and there, but the bottom line is we got there. And as Marshall so appropriately pointed out, the issue before the council tonight is public facilities. These are facilities that are paid for with public money. We're paying for our own development. We have over $60 million that we're putting into Phase 1A for this project. So it's not that we're asking for a handout. These are public facilities that are needed, not just for our project, but also for the airport and other properties farther west from the New River. So our hope tonight is that we're able to move forward. As Oscar pointed out, October 25th is our kickoff of our grand opening. We have approximately 55 to 60 tenants, retailers that we're working with. We have signed leases with, and this is old hat for Oscar because he's heard this 100 times, but, and I've got to put my cheaters on, so excuse me. I'll run off maybe a dozen or so tenants that we have. American Eagle, Aeropostale, Nike, Coach, Skechers, Gap, Banana Republic, Levi, Guess, Ultra Diamonds, Perry Ellis, Cubavera, Children's Place, Crocs, Michael Kors, Lids, BCBG, Nautica, Puma, Sunset Hut, Wilson's Leather, the list goes on and on. We just met with the Donna Karen folks yesterday and gave them a tour of the city and of Mexicali, and they were very impressed. That was, as you heard me testify in the past, one of our initial problems was to get people around the country to recognize the viability and the vibrance of the Calexico Mexicali market. They didn't believe us. They came, they saw, and they believed us. We had a signed lease with Coach within 30 days. That's unheard of. They were so impressed with how this vibrant market works that we were able to convince them. So we think this is going to be just one heck of an economic engine for the community, for the city, something to be proud of, something that is worthy of competing with any mall, whether it's El Centro or any other retail facility around the country. This is a first-class, supercharged project, and we're so excited to bring it to the community, I can't tell you. And we appreciate everybody's efforts. Oscar and his staff and his group of consultants, everybody has just done a yeoman's job to try and solve problems, and it hasn't been an easy road. I mean, the state kind of threw us a curve when they killed the CRA folks, so that was dramatic. But we're getting there. This solves the problem. As Marshall pointed out, there is no public consequence from these funds. If there's not enough sales tax to do the debt service, we're stuck. We pay the debt service. If there is, no harm, no foul, it gets paid for, which is what everybody expects. So we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is. We're confident this is going to be a successful project, and that's why we're willing to go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hawley, and thank you very much for your participation. And I'm sure that Calexico believes in the project as well.
And just one last item there. You're edging to get to the vote. Again, I would like to introduce Tom Clark, who helped us get through this agreement, making sure that the city was safeguarded through the development of this agreement that we believe safeguards the city and is objective in what we are planning to do. Tom was a lot younger when he started this project, right, Tom? And that was only a couple of years back. So, again, thanks, Tom, for all your help in putting this agreement together.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
I have a question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
To the Mr. Rodriguez. How many projects been successfully operating the project given the money or help by the city?
How many projects have been successful
in all of the years, or like in the last 10 years, or
yeah, last 10
more
years,
specific?
probably, yeah.
That would be hard to answer. I know that in El Centro, when the mall was built, there was some assistance on that particular project.
Well, for the recent ones was with Townsend Plaza, we gave them the money to the CFT, to process the CFT. Finally, they couldn't do it, and they just probably they started underselling the project. They can sell the project high price because they approved the project by the city. And a lot of project the city approved it, they're not doing anything.
The town center, excuse me, Mr. Kim, may have been the victim of the actual financial crisis. It was the wrong time. This is a very different project and a very different time. So the project that you're discussing, I believe we're trying to rehabilitate or resurrect, Mr. Rodriguez, the town center?
The town center, yes, we have reached an agreement on certain vital issues that hopefully we're going to see some progress now moving along. And of course, that is an industrial type of project versus this one that's a retail type of project.
Mr. Hurtado, thank you for interrupting me. I'm not done. You interrupted me. Okay, this is the what's called the John Chang's last year's state controller's report. That's how bad we are with the town center plaza. We are flooded. We had it. That's why you couldn't do it.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. This has nothing to do with the item that we're discussing here today. This has nothing to do with that.
I'm build the base.
This is totally outside of what the Grand Plaza is.
This is a
We're
very
not talking
different.
about the town center. We're talking about Grand Plaza.
Don't interrupt it, please.
I'm calling a point of order.
Point of order. Do I have a second on that point of order to be able to continue with the discussion at hand, which is the discussion of this project in particular? No other projects at this time should be discussed. Do I have a second on that point of order?
Is he discussing town center?
Mr. Romo, please have a seat. We're not able to talk to you at this time, Mr. We are taking care of the conversation here at the council level. I understand that, Mr. Romo. I'm acknowledging Mr. Romero's point of order at this time, sir. Could you have a seat, Mr. Romo? Please allow us to continue the conversation. We're already at this point, Mr. Romo.
I'm calling the point of order on all of you.
Thank you. At this time, we need to entertain the first point of order, which is by Mr. Moreno. Thank you. Okay, we have a point of order to be able to continue the conversation. Mr. Kim, the problem is that in past practice, you have led us off into other conversations, and we have been not able to continue on to these items that we are having here as legally posted for the citizens of Calexico. So the discussion needs to stay within the subject matter at hand, which is the discussion of this project in itself. I have a point of order. Do I have a second on that point of order to remain focused on the actual discussion of the item at hand? Okay, I'll second on that point of order. We'll go ahead and take a vote on that point of order to ensure that the majority of the council wants to be able to continue on the subject at hand. So if you vote yes, that means that you do want to continue on the actual agenda item itself. A vote of no allows Mr. Kim to continue on with his conversation or his comments. So please vote. I'm sorry, I believe that we need to vote first, Mr. Romo. Okay, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I submitted a slip for oral communication and you haven't gotten it.
If you would all please be more respectful and do not yell out to me from the audience, because number one, we can't pick up your voice. So it makes no sense to talk to us in that manner. So if we would go ahead and vote, we're at the point of order at this time, please.
Madam President, I submitted a request for oral communication and you're already voting.
Sir, you gave me one on item number 6?
Yes.
And you gave me one on item number 7. Please, we are on item number 5.
On item number 5.
Yes, sir. Legal, if you could help me out with the gentleman here and just let him know what the rights are at this point.
Yes, sir, you're out of order. You need to take your seat. That's not your prerogative, sir. You're disrupting the meeting. Please take your seat.
Okay, we have a vote of 3. Mr. Castro, you didn't place a vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have some questions. I was paying attention to Mr. Romo. I'm sorry.
We're actually voting, Mr. Castro, at this time to know if we're going to agree with the point of order or we're going to allow Mr. Kim to vote. To continue discussing.
Oh, okay. I would like to give the opportunity to finish, to let Mr. Kim to speak.
Your vote can reflect your thoughts, Mr. Castro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Castro.
Okay, it's 3-2, so that we can go ahead and continue with our business item, which is the discussion at hand. And I would like to be able to explain to the council here that what we're going to do is go back into our normal routine so that we have a fair opportunity. Please don't blurt out. We're going to try to go ahead in
I'm not
an order
I'm just
of comments. Mr. Kim, please, Mr.
right.
Kim.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is that we're going to go through in order, in respectable order, and each one of us will have a time limit of 3 minutes to be able to make your comments. Would you like to begin, Mr. Kim?
You cannot limit them what I'm talking.
Legal, can I limit the
I
amount
already have
of
a league.
response?
I already had a league. They said a leader can
Legal, do I
limit the
have
council
the
member
opportunity
to
to be
speaking.
able to do that?
Well, it is the mayor's prerogative to run the meeting as she sees fit. I have a suggestion, however, if the idea here is to try to keep the item moving along, then maybe one way to do that is just simply limit the amount of time that each council member has to speak and allow them to say whatever they want
That's
to
what
say.
I'm trying to do, so I'm trying to limit the amount of time to 3 minutes.
That's a workshop. The lawyer said that it's not supposed to not to do it. The leaders.
I am
Okay. Anyways,
Yes, go ahead.
this council, we shut down the ideas of flowing here to discussing. We're supposed to make all the ideas, all the issues to bring together. So we have to make the right decision. Our council self-closing said they already self-closing, so they just make sure someone cannot talk more than what they want. I'm very grateful to deal with this kind of a council, and at the same time I'm very embarrassed with this kind of a council. We have the responsible to protect the public interest. We're not doing it. And this one, they say in the sales taxes, they're going to provide things by the sales tax. The sales tax is supposed to go to the community, not for the private company. The private company, they have to find their own money to pay their loan, not buy the money from come to the public. Why we have to pay the sales taxes? Sales taxes, whatever creating the sales tax, they have to come to the public benefit when they some big movements over there, we're going to need a lot of police and fires, and we need to have more steps to deal with it. And the $300,000 is not enough to taking care of all the issues going to be creating, which is the public's money is going to be involved in there because we cannot receive the money, and then we still have to provide the service, which is they saying it's not public money, but we are entitled to have more service, more than $300,000 worth for that project. And the sales tax is supposed to go to the community, not for some private company. And major the money, that's belongs to the public. Why we have to let them use that the money that is our street is a very bad condition right now. I'm not against the project. The project that has to come with their own money, which is they want us using our money to pay their debt. They're gonna pay for the impact fee, but the impact fee is gonna pay back from the sales tax that's supposed to come to the city. What kind of deal we have here? And last 10 years, a lot of project they funded by company, by the city of Calexico, is not functioning. Look at the theater right now. We cannot fund the money. We cannot deal with the welfare company. They are asking us to help. Our job is protect the citizens' benefit and what they're interested. If we make the focusing in our condition, we can be better cities. We can be more attractive for the people. We don't have to have looking for the sales tax revenue. If we see ourselves growing, we're going to have increased the property tax is going to be increasing because the house is going up.
Okay, Mr. Kim, thank you very much. Mr. Castro, did you want to make any comments?
Yes, I have some comments. I'm supporting this project 100%. We need projects like that in order to create jobs for our community. But my concern here is I've been reading the backup, and I haven't seen what's for the $7 million. What are the interests going to be? And also, I haven't seen for how many years. Those are my question on this. And do you have those answers, City Manager?
Well, I'm going to ask our financial consultant to come up. The bonds have not been sold on the CFD, so we can't really give you the interest rate until the bonds are sold, but we can give you an idea as to what the interest rates could be or where we foresee them headed. But again, we're not going to be able to give you an actual, because until the bonds are actually sold, then that's when the interest rate is marked. But maybe we can give you an idea of the interest rate and the timeline on it.
Councilman, we are anticipating, because I think all of us here in this auditorium know that interest rates within the last 21 days have started to move up. In fact, they've moved up almost 75 to 100 basis points. So we're estimating that the interest rate on the CFD bonds will be for a period of 30 years at about 5.75 to 6%. Now, let me make a comment to, if I may, Councilman Kim's comments. We have kind of a situation here that if Grand Plaza was not built, and there wasn't any kind of public assistance, there'd be no sales tax money coming in, none whatsoever. So it's a but-for argument. It's a but-for argument. We need to have Grand Plaza here, so we do have sales tax revenue coming in. If there wasn't a Grand Plaza, there'd be no sales tax. What to argue about? I think I was very, very clear in my presentation that we are expecting at a minimum for the first phase of Grand Plaza that the city will receive about $300,000 in money, in sales tax money, and that the Grand Plaza, the amount of other sales tax will pay for the debt service on the bonds. I think I was also very, very clear that the money that will come to the city, the real money, well over $1.5 million, will come from when Phase 2 is being built. And we fully expect that Phase 2 will be built because Corsair has not asked for any public assistance at all. We will get the dominant share of the the sales tax from Phase 2. The sales tax, while it's important and certainly the largest chunk of money coming in, that $100,000 a year of additional property tax will not only benefit the city has a very, very high property tax rate of 28% of the 1% under Prop 13, but will also benefit the schools with more money, and also benefit the county and the hospital district. So it's a win-win for everybody. Without Grand Plaza, we're going to be stuck. Our sales tax is not growing anywhere nearly as fast as other cities within this county. And as I said before, and I've done enough retail projects in my mind, that if the Commons is built, that the final death knell will be put into the coffin in this city ever being a retail power within the city. I think we have a responsibility to go ahead and to approve this project.
I think you didn't
Thank you,
give the
Marshall.
answer for the Mr.
Mr. Castro, do you want to continue? You still have some time left.
Also, we have here in the audience Mrs. Jolie Cordero. She's a chairperson from Financial Advisory Committee. Did you, Ms. Cordero, did you or your board receive some information related to this issue?
In regards to the Grand Plaza, we just started getting information about, I don't know, maybe about 60 days ago. We were not aware of the CFDs until about 60 days ago. Today's the first time really that I've heard of how this money's coming about. All I can say, again, I just heard the project presentation right now, is that coming from the private sector, when my family invested about 25 years ago, we had to pay all our infrastructure to the city of Calexico. Everything came out of our pocket. We didn't have to borrow any money. But at the same time, when Walmart came in, they borrowed. Calexico couldn't put the infrastructure, and Walmart went ahead and paid for it. And Calexico and Walmart, they're still battling that money that was owed to Calexico. I'm in favor of the project. I would think that this infrastructure, I know it's needed for the project, and Calexico should participate, but maybe it should be like a 70-30, 60-40, I don't know. But I know that the infrastructure needs to go, and I know that part of it's going to be used for the airport and other things, but I think it could still be worked out. Both need to come together and negotiate. Again, this is the first time I hear about it, and it's something that we could discuss. I mean, we've talked about it, and I see where Mr. Kim's coming. There is a lot of bonds and stuff, but that's the way cities function. You need to borrow money, and somewhere or another needs to get paid back, and there's some other issues that you need to look into to cut expenses besides. I mean, we need to invest, but we need to cut expenses in-house.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. I don't have no other question.
Mr. Hodge, did you have any comments?
Yes. I'm really baffled here. Councilman Kim, we must listen to his concerns, and we are. But ladies and gentlemen, he said that we need to restore and improve the parks and help you, and the way I see it is the way that's going to be done to improve the quality of our lives here is to move forward on this project. Everything that we need can, in a great part, be solved by the Grand Plaza, the revenues coming in. I very much want the quality of your lives to be lifted up. And we need to be on the map. Let's be competitive. We need to be like the other cities. We need to have a retail flagship here. And the Grand Plaza will bring that. So I support Kim in his concern of raising and protecting the quality of your lives. But I disagree that in the criticisms of Grand Plaza and the owners. I think it's a win-win situation. I am just as concerned about the details in the bonds. We need to take a risk, but if you critically think and analyze about the information that is offered, unless you just outright say they're lying and you don't trust, then you're in a position where nothing that's presented to you you're going to believe. But we need to trust, we need to take a risk. Based on the information, I think it's a very, very low risk. I feel comfortable because I am very concerned about you and your family having to pay a debt. I've asked the same questions. I'm very, very concerned about whether we have an obligation. And according to the information and the critical questions that have been asked, I'm relatively very assured that we will not have an obligation. The Grand Plaza will bring a higher quality of life for everybody here. Employment, shopping, and then we'll have that money. We'll have that money to do better things for Calexico, the things that are needed, the things that you need to improve the quality of your lives. So let's not kill this engine, this economic engine that will bring welfare and a higher quality of life. We need to trust. We need to take a risk. And I think based on the information, there is very little risk here. Once again, it's been repeated. There is no obligation on our part. I'm moving forward with this on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno?
Yeah, I'd like to transfer my 3 minutes to Mr. Kim. No, I'm just kidding. Let me start my timer. Ever since I was on the Planning Commission, this has come up, and this has been, I guess, a dream that Calexico would be on the map with a state-of-the-art shopping center where we would attract business from Mexicali. The big picture I see is 10, 20, 30 years from now that this, most of us will be gone, but some of us will still be here, that this will continue to generate that sales tax revenue for our citizens, for our community. This will employ a lot of our people in this community, and I would like to see if our city manager has a plan for how they're going to hire our local populace in the city of Calexico or its surrounding areas to work at this mall. To me, that's the important thing, is our citizens need to get back to work, and there has to be a certain agreement with the developer, with the retailers to hire locally. And I would make sure that our city is on top of that. Marshall and Ron and Tom and Ray and Francisco, that we hire our people to work there. This is a win-win situation for everybody. And this is, like I said, it's going to put us on the map. It's going to help with other areas of our community, parks, recreation, public safety. All these items will benefit. The port of entry expansion is another area that will allow this to grow, maybe to something that we've never seen before. This is the time to do it. This is the place to do it. We are the city that's going to have the best shopping center, outlet mall. They don't have to go to Viejas. They don't have to go to Cabazon. They don't have to go to San Isidro. They can come to Calexico. And the debt service will be peanuts in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. It'll be all forgotten by then. It'll be an economic engine that this community is needing for the last several years. So with that, Madam Mayor, you can count on my support for this one.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Yes, Mr. Castro.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you. Hey, does the city of Calexico is gonna get paid the property from the gun club?
I think that's close.
Separate, or is that including on the bond? That is my question to the city manager.
Closed session?
If you will recall, there was an acquisition and remediation agreement that was passed, and if you will also recall, the property, which we all got to know as the gun club, which is no longer standing, was a redevelopment property. And as such, with the elimination of redevelopment agencies, we have to go through a whole process before we can even sell the property. The agreement called for the acquisition of the property by Corsair as part of their project. And at the time, there was an appraisal that was done so we could set the value. And then the remediation portion of it, if you will recall, the gun club is a shooting range, and so there was remediation in that there was hazardous material there due to the lead. And as part of that agreement, in the remediation side, they had to pull out that lead and take it to authorized dump sites. There was two levels of hazardous waste there, one of which had to be taken to very hazardous dumps, which there's only there's a lot fewer in the U.S. than the one for the medium hazardous waste. So, as part of that agreement, they had to remove that, and we allowed a credit towards the purchase price of that facility. In order to actually be able to sell it, we're going through a process on the redevelopment side, which has to go through successor agency, oversight committee, and then the Department of Finance. And we have to get a notice of completion. Once that is received, then we have to put a plan together which allows for the release of assets, for the sale of assets. Once we put that plan together and go through the whole structure and Department of Finance approves it, then at that point we actually will transfer title and we'll actually sell it to Corsair.
Thank you.
So, I have a question, Mr. Rodriguez.
I call for the question, Madam Mayor. Everybody had a chance to speak already. Let's vote on this subject.
Yes, I'm not going to make any comments. I did mention to everyone that we were going to go through this in a fairly fair manner. So in 3 minutes that you had, I believe that was sufficient to ask your questions. The only thing that I'd like to say is that I'd like to thank Mr. Armand Gabay for believing in Calexico. This project was not easy, as you say, and today is the day that we finally are able to celebrate the hard work that not only the city but the developers as well have put into this project. Many people are going to benefit from this, so I think it's very important to recognize that the developers came to this city and believed in this city, and that's what we need. We need people to believe in this city so that city can continue to progress. So I want to thank you very much, and I would like to entertain any motions at this time.
Ms. Hurtado, I think we have a motion to call for question. You have to vote for it.
Call for the question is when you are going off on another subject and you're not sticking to this.
So the call for question has to be voted.
Madam Mayor, I believe he is right on this time. This time I believe he is right.
Okay.
And we have to call for the question. We have to take a vote on that.
And then we
So I call for the question. Then we
stop.
Okay, I wasn't finished with my 3 minutes,
sorry.
though. I just want to say that the different names that are being mentioned here, to me, the most important is Coach. So you had me at Coach. Thank you. Okay, so we have a call for the question, I guess, that we're going to entertain. Mr. Kim, did you want to then make your comments?
No, we have to vote to stop the debate and
Okay.
take care of action.
Okay, so Mr. Kim has called for the question.
No, Madam Mayor, I have called for the question. We need a second.
I'll second that. Sorry.
Okay, call for the question by Mr. Moreno, second by Mr. Hodge, and that is to end all conversations. All of us had had an opportunity to discuss this, so let's vote.
So
And this is the vote for call for the question, sir. Yes, it is. We're doing call for the question at this time. Yes, you're right, Mr. Rodriguez. We had a motion since the beginning that we are totally ignoring by Mr. Moreno to have approved this since way back at the beginning of this item. We have allowed for a nice, healthy discussion, and at this point now, we have called for the question one more time. Therefore, at this point, we're going to vote in order to cease any further discussion from council to be able to vote. So the call for the question now has been approved. We will cease all conversation and discussion. And now I'm going to entertain any motions for item 5. Let me read it one more time. Discussion and or action on adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico approving an agreement rate covenants by and between the City of Calexico, Corsair LLC, a California limited liability company, with respect to the development and operation of the Grand Plaza Outlet Shopping Center, public facilities financing matters, and authorizing certain related action. Please vote, gentlemen. I had a first and a second, and we are now voting. For the approval of item 5, please.
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Okay, motion passes 3-2, and congratulations to Corsair. Going to be looking forward to our grand opening very soon. You said October 25th? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on now to item number 6. Item number 6 is discussion and or action on approval of the following resolutions. And that I do have an item, Mr. Ureña, Raul, that's where you were a little confused about your item. You asked for item number 6, so please come to the podium.
Yeah, I guess I jumped the gun. All right, my name is Raul Ureña. I'm a student here at Calexico High School, and I was hearing the debate that the council was having, and I can't help but point out some things that really irk me about this debate. How you call the economy an economic engine. We have to understand that the economy is organic. It's you and me. We have to understand that there's no formula for making the economy good. There's nothing to put in it. You see, the economy is people producing things that other people want, and it has to be done on a voluntary basis. Now, I see that here in this item, it says that we have to authorize a special tax for this area of the Grand Plaza. Is that correct?
CFD.
Yes, no?
CFD, yes.
There's a community facilities district that needs to be formed, and then that district would raise the funds to pay for that. That would be the security for it.
All right, so what's the percentage of the special tax that's going to be in this area?
The way that a special tax is calculated, not only in the Grand Plaza area, but in any shopping center throughout the entire country, it's done on a lean to value basis. You notice that in my presentation, I said that for every dollar of debt, we have 4 times value. So we have a very, very high lean to value. If you were doing a housing project, you'd probably have a lean to value of 3 to 1. So that way we protect the bondholder. There is no specific formula except the lean to value ratio. We've done an analysis. We feel that the project will be fine. We're having an independent appraiser who appraises not only CFDs but assessment districts, gives us what's called a fire sale value. And this is a very, very important term. In the worst case analysis, in the worst possible case analysis, that every tenant left Grand Plaza, which is probably not possible because Coach will always be there because the mayor wants Coach, but every tenant ever left, that what would that property be worth? And the property will still have to have a value of 4 to 1, otherwise we won't sell the bonds.
All right, so the problem I have with this and putting a special tax on a special district is that according to the ideal economic law that I would have, is I don't want any subsidies for any certain company, and that's what I want this school district. I'm sorry, this city council to avoid. I want there not to be any subsidies for any certain companies, no special favors, nada de los compacitos, no, none of that. I want there to be a fair playing field between the stores that are already in Calexico and the stores that you are planning to build in this Grand Plaza. So that's my concern. Hopefully you can take it in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ureña. Okay, I failed to actually read the item, which is a item relative to number 5. Discussion and or action on the approval of the following resolutions. Discussion and or action on approval of a resolution of intention of the City Council of the City of Calexico to establish City of Calexico Community Facilities District number 2013-1, Grand Plaza, and improvement areas number 1 and 2 therein, and to authorize the levy of a special tax within each improvement area of the City of Calexico Community Facilities District number 2013-1, Grand Plaza, and taking certain actions in connection therewith. This has items A and B. So B is discussion and or action on approval of a resolution of intention of the City Council of the City of Calexico to incur bonded indebtedness within proposed City of Calexico Community Facilities District number 2013-1, Grand Plaza. I did check with legal at this point, and it looks like we can vote with both items A and B together. So this discussion and the action, we're going to go ahead and vote on A and B jointly. Okay, so we're going to start with Mr. Kim to my left. Again, Mr. Kim, if we can limit the discussion to 3 minutes, that'd be great.
Well, before, I have some questions still. How much bond is going to be generating the interest rate? How much are we going to end up the whole total bond paying from the $7 million?
Marshall, I don't know if you, I mean, as we know, as we stated earlier, the bonds haven't been sold, so we can, take a stab at it, but, depending on the interest rate, we can't tell you exactly how much interest rate is going to be paid over the 30-year bond because we haven't even sold them, and so we don't know what the interest rate is. You want to?
Mr. Kim, again, Oscar, I think is perfectly right. Our best estimates, given the current economic situation that we're in right now, if the bonds went out anywhere between 5.5% to 6%, a good rule of thumb, just a rule of thumb, be about 2.5 times debt service. So if the bonds were, say, $7 million, you'd pay back about $17, $18 million total amount of monies back.
So how much?
Pardon me?
How much?
About $17 to $18 million back.
17?
It's the same exact way when you finance your house. You may have a house at 6% interest. By the time you add the principal and interest, it's going to be a number a lot bigger. If you paid $100,000 for your house, the total payment for your house is going to be a lot bigger than $100,000. Probably end up being about $250,000. Same principle acts like that. It's a simple interest.
Okay, I think so you're the one who involving with the Hearthstone, the bond issuing the Hearthstone project?
I'm sorry?
Your company is involving with the Hearthstone project?
We were the financial advisors on the Hearthstone project. We were the financial advisors on hundreds of CFDs throughout the state of California, if not throughout the nations. Okay. Hearthstone project is one of tens of thousands projects throughout the United States of America that got caught in the meltdown. I can't name too many projects anywhere in the 50 contiguous, in the 50 states of the United States where the values did not drop. Let me say this, the Hearthstone project, the problems we have with Hearthstone are being cured. It appears right now that no bondholder will lose any money whatsoever. It's just going to take a period of time because values are starting to come up again. So Hearthstone investors will be made whole. It may take a year or so, but they will be made whole.
Okay, and I have information, for example, about a case, the Poway, they have a little over $1 million, they borrow the money through the bond, they end up almost $1 million pay, almost 10 times. The Willis School District, they borrow the money $4 million through the bond, they end up $42 million to pay the bond. Same reason the state, they're making the legislature, they're making new law. It's kind of like in the middle of the passing, the Buchanan law, they eliminating to not to bond, issuing the bonds. So we have to be aware of those. That's why City of Calexico right now is rushing to bond and bond and bond. And the bond again, that's hurting our future.
Mr. Kim, the bonds you're talking about in the school district in Poway, was an example of a very, very
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
and
I'm not done yet.
Yes, I'm sorry, your 3 months are up, Mr. Kim.
I'm
sorry.
not done yet.
Your 3 minutes are up, Mr. Kim. And I'm going to allow him just to finalize his comments, because your 3 minutes are up.
I'm not done yet.
Your 3 minutes are up, Mr. Kim.
The bond issue that you are talking about in Poway, and I'll explain it to the general population here, they were called capital appreciation bonds, which, by the way, a bill is going through the legislature. I was up in Sacramento yesterday talking to legislators, where they're limited capital appreciation bonds where no principal is paid on the bonds to the end of the bond term. So what happened in the city of Poway, I don't know the exact figures, but they might have borrowed $10 million and end up owing close to $1 billion. Cities do not issue capital appreciation bonds. I have not, for the last 35 years, ever seen a CFD bond or a tax allocation bond or anything else ever done as a capital appreciation bond. It just does not happen anymore. State law is taking care of that project, and you're absolutely right. It was an egregious way to issue bonds. It's not going to happen anymore. The state law, within the next 30 days, will make sure that does not happen again. But it's not really appropriate to even talk about that in the light of the conversation we are issuing here for the Grand Plaza fully amortizing debt, and it's going to be in level debt. So each payment from year 1 to year 30 will be in equal installments, similar to what you have if you got a 30-year conventional loan on your house. It'll be equal debt service payments for the full 30 years. We're not going to have the Poway problem here.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Okay, Mr. Roma, I see you're standing there, and I did forget that you wanted to talk about this. I do apologize. And Mr. Kim, I do apologize. It's just that I have had feedback from the council and from the public that we are taking way too long in discussion, so I do apologize. That is the only way that we can run a smoother meeting, is trying to make sure that we limit our discussion. I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak, Mr. Romo, because I did forget you. And this is, please have it directed on item number 6.
Yes, it is. First of all, I congratulate what this project is going forward to, and if it's creating revenues or just the project itself is a win-win situation. I can see that. You got great underwriters there. I've known Marshall and Mr. Rodriguez is doing a great job. What I did like, what Mr. Moreno said, is that we should focus those jobs within our community. I love that. And we have to take care of our community. Again, no disrespect. You were elected to represent our community, and I thank you, Mr. Moreno, for that comment. And the second one, I don't agree with, that item has passed. I don't agree with that 3 minutes. That puts a limit to maybe if Mr. Kim wanted to conclude his comment, you're not letting him. Or if Mr. Moreno or Mr. Castro or Mr. Hodge, you're putting yourself limits. You can put the limit on the public for public comments, but and also have a little flexibility there, maybe 15, 20 minutes, seconds for the concluded announcements. And next time, well, that's my concern, that you should not put yourself within a time frame of 3 minutes. Maybe Mr. Kim's concern was valid. We don't know. We would like to know. And that's all I wanted to say. And also, whenever there's a point of order, the chair must acknowledge the point of order, and it's up to the council to provide the council's opinion directly to the chair, not to me or to anyone individual. That's the way it's democracy. That's what's parliamentary law. So respect that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Domo. Mr. Castro, you're next. any comments
comments.
on number 6?
No.
No. Mr. Hodge, any comments on number 6?
Mr. Marshall Lynn, how long have you been working in your position? How long have you been in this position, your career?
Too long.
You may incriminate yourself.
40 years. So we could consider you an expert in that area, is that correct?
We've done about,
Be humble.
we've done about $12 billion worth of bonds.
All right, thank you. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno.
No comment.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I have a question?
Yes.
Yes? Thank you.
Keep it brief.
Yeah, it's gonna be briefly, don't worry. Mr. Marshallin, how long you been working for the city of Calexico?
I believe that the last time I calculated about 35 years.
35 years. Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Were you or were you not in the 1960 Olympics?
Are you Democrat or are you Republican?
That's ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Okay, any more questions?
I have no more questions.
Okay, no more questions either. Do I have any motions to entertain by the council to approve item number 6?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Let's vote. This is for item number 6.
Yep.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Moving on to item number 7. Item number 7 is discussion and/or action on approval of recommendation by Measure H Committee to bond 50% of the revenue stream for police, fire, parks, recreation, and senior citizen projects. I only have one speaker for item number 7. We'll go ahead and have the speaker come up. If there's any other speakers that want to speak on this item, please come up now. This is the Measure H item. And after the public has spoken, then we'll have our city manager, Mr. Rodriguez, fill us in a little bit of information, and then we'll go ahead and have discussion by council. So, Mr. Ureña, you wanted to speak on item number 7 as well? Are you still here? Oh.
Yes, let's.
Oh, all right. Good evening. I wanted to speak on this item because it's a very delicate issue. It's a big bond. There's big money for this, and we're getting 50% of it, and it's going somewhere. Now, I pulled up the backup documents for this particular item, and on the second paragraph of the background information, second and third paragraphs, our city manager puts out the excuse for funneling this money into these designated sections. This excuse is that because the Federal Reserve has ended its quantitative easing, and for those of you in the audience, quantitative easing is when the Federal Reserve decides, hey, let's print a whole bunch of money and get those interest rates down. That's quantitative easing. So now that that has ended, the interest rates are going to its regular peak. It's where they're supposed to be because the market realizes, hey, there's not enough money here in the market. So therefore, the cost of the money is high. The interest is high. So that's what's happening. So I think that this is a good excuse to do exactly the opposite of the intended action that is in this item. Because if interest rates are going up, it gives us the signal that we're supposed to save for investors to borrow later. So I think that this money would be best put in savings so we can loan it out at a higher interest. I think that would just be the best interest of the public at this moment, and that we shouldn't take a gamble when the interest rates are low. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ureña. I think that there's, Mr. Romer, you wanted to make some comments on this item? Okay, thank you very much. That's it on the public portion of comments. So, Mr. Rodriguez, did you want to make some comments on this item?
Yes, I will. And by the way, I'm working on my 34th year in government, so I think I have a little bit of history in doing this. The issue before you today is the same issue that we've talked about basically with the Grand Plaza. In this particular case, we have a revenue stream that's coming in. Today's dollars will be cheaper than tomorrow's dollars, I'll guarantee you. Because of the cost of money and the interest rates that will be moving up. Anything that you see tells you that the economy is getting better, and therefore that is a cause for interest rates to move up. So what you want to do is you want to lock in with cheap money today so that you can do your projects today. You don't want to wait until the interest rates are higher, and therefore the net effect of the money that you're going to get to do these projects are going to be a lot less. We have a lot of need in this community. Starting with a fire station or a combination public safety center that there's a big need for. If you look at our fire station now, is in a sad shape of not only rehab, but possibly a new station along with potentially our fire station. As the community has grown, we have grown north, and so at least definitely for fire department, it is located in the wrong area in order to have the proper response times to the different parts of the community. What this item does is it takes half of the money revenue flow from Measure H, which is scheduled, I believe, in this coming budget, we're scheduling about $2.2 million. So it takes about $1.1 million and bonds it out for 17 years. And at this point, given the current interest rates that we are looking at, we believe that we can raise about $12 million. I had given you a sheet of paper documenting just in a matter of 6 hours when the Measure H committee was looking at this item. They originally took it on and they wanted to know, well, what kind of projects do we need and what kind of projects need our assistance? And we had, I believe our meeting was on Monday, and then we had another meeting again on Wednesday. And in a period of about 6 hours, the city engineer and myself sat down and started putting together some of the needs of this community. And in a matter of 6 hours, we came up with over $17 million just in 6 hours. I'll guarantee you that if we had a month to put this thing together in reference to the needs of this community, we would probably be in the area of $40 to $50 million that are needed in order to address the needs of this community. Starting here at City Hall, if you look around, you'll see that we have cracks in this building and it needs some maintenance. It's in dire need of maintenance, along with all our other facilities in this community that have not been touched in the longest time due to the fact that the city did not have the money and due to the fact that there was a recession, and during the recession, of course, our revenues went down like any other municipality in the state of California. So what we're trying to do here is say, let's take advantage of the fact that we can borrow money cheaply today and do the improvements today, and not wait until we get the money in full to be able to do these improvements. It's like buying a house. We're back to that scenario. You don't buy a house and accumulate all the money and then pay for it cash. You get a loan and you mortgage it over time in order to be able to pay for it and take advantage, especially today, of the current interest rates, which a lot of people, even if they had a mortgage, a lot of people have already refinanced to take advantage of the interest rates in order to lower their payments. So in essence, that's what we're doing here. We're saying, let's take advantage of the low interest rates. Let's go ahead and borrow the money today because it's cheaper to borrow today. And let's do the improvements that are needed by this community today and not wait until these buildings or whatever improvements are needed or facilities start falling down on us. Let's take advantage of this and let's move forward. The reason that you do not have a complete list before you in reference to what would be done with these funds is simply because Measure H, we did not have the time to put it together. In order to follow the procedure in bonding this out, it's going to take us anywhere from 90 to 100 days. So we have time to sit down with Measure H and have them make a recommendation to you as to what this money is going to be used for, and then bring it back to council for approval on the usage, so that when we get ready to finalize the bonds, we have the list of what these improvements are going to be, and we can address these improvements. The only thing that I would tell you that I also told Measure H is that in the revenues that are being collected elected, if you will recall, the tax is a general tax, and therefore, the monies can be used for any expenditure that the general fund can make. It's not a special tax. It didn't require 2/3, it required 50+1. And so you'll see that the Measure H committee decided that they wanted to recommend to you where they were narrowing down the scope of what it could be used for. Now, you can do that. What we normally and typically do on bond issues is try to give as much flexibility as possible. If we're going to do a bond issue and we have, let's say we're going to do for street monies, and we have 5, 10 streets that we want to do. We don't necessarily name the streets. We say this is going to be for street improvements throughout the community of Calexico. Therefore, if later on we find that there's another street that needs to be repaired, we can do that. We have the flexibility to do that, and we're not locked in. So that's the only other comment that I would make. But I certainly encourage you to consider this item so that we can do some of the things that we've been wanting to do and we've talked about. Aside from putting sprinklers in one of our parks, aside from putting seating some of our parks, aside from replacing a light bulb in one of our parks, this will give us the financial wherewithal to do that police and fire and police public safety center that we've been needing for the longest time, and that will take us into the future. It will give us the ability to take care of Rodriguez Park, which has been talked about and talked about and talked about by the Measure H committee, and we haven't been able to do it. If you really want to do that park the way it should be done, which all of us I think will agree, it needs to have new bleachers, it needs to have new restrooms, it needs to have new scoreboard, it needs to have, you name it, it needs to have it. And if we want to have something that's pride and joy to this community, it's going to take some money. So we're going to have to spend $500,000, $750,000 on the park if we want it the way we want it, and so the taxpayers can see what we're doing with this money. We can go on. There's a list, like I gave you some examples of what are the items that we're going to have to address, and certainly we've been talking and talking and talking about our parks forever. It's time that we raise the money so we can address our parks and put them in the position that they should be in. So that's what this item before you is about. It's about taking advantage of low interest rates. It's about taking advantage of money today and do something today and not have to wait until we accumulate all this money and potentially have some of these buildings in a condition that we won't be able to rehabilitate them, but rather have to tear them down. So that's what this item is about, and I encourage you and ask you for consideration on moving this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Okay, we're going to do some discussion amongst the council, and we're going to start with you, Mr. Kim. And again, I do apologize, Mr. Kim, if you feel I'm not providing you the opportunity. You will have the opportunity, of course. However, we do need to make sure that we run a smooth meeting. So do you want to go ahead and start? Are you prepared?
Well, we all have abilities or responsibility to the community. Whatever we make the decision tonight, we have to make the decision. We can say to the community, we do our best. I don't think our city council members doing it that way, try to gang up on some council member to bring the issues. They don't like it, they just shut down, because I don't like it. Well, that's how we vote the people, and how they come in here as sitting here as elected person. That you have to consider the next vote. Well, again, the Measure H, the money is generating every year, so I believe a little over $2 million. Again, we have money. If we need the money, we have a lot of money, so the cash is in the bank, we can borrow the money and put it back. Why we have to use the bond, borrowing the money to pay a lot of interest to do our job? We have a lot of cash we have in city, which is different fund. I know we cannot use it, but we still can borrow the money. Just like you have the money for your kid for the college fund. If you have some issues, you have to use it, you can borrow the money and then put it back. You're not using it. Why we have to leave the money in the bank and then we have to borrow the money from paying the interest? We have to be conservative. We have to you have to taking care of all the pennies That is not my money. It's not council members' money. That is money that belongs to the community. And we have to do diligence to try to save the money, conserve the money to maximum delivery service to the community, and we're not doing it. So we just, every time when we deal with the bond, just like some of the men to try to follow the single woman to try to get married with her, impressing her to take her the dinners and all the parties, borrowing the money and the using the last credit card. Later, when they got married, the wife has to be together to pay all the debt. That's what we're doing right now. Please, this is not council members' money. That money belongs to the community. We have to do diligence to our job to protect our community money and maximum influences. I'm against any bond issuing. We still have a lot of cash. We can use it.
Yes, 5 seconds.
Is that all, Mr. Kim?
Thank you for the considerations.
Okay, there it is.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Castro.
Yes, I'm concur with what Mr. King mentioned related to the bond. In my one of my concerns are public safety. I'm supporting 100% public safety, and there is around probably it's not 5-6 grants that we need to apply, or I know there is some there is on process, and the way I think that $2 million that we collect, the city of Calexico collects every annually, I believe we need to save that money. Why? Because there is some other options we can get or we can use for especially for seniors, for parks. I'm reading this. I request this grant information from the city of Calexico, and I'm reading this, and there is probably like 12 options. So I believe if we do the right thing, if the administration work the way is supposed to work in order to make it happen, those grants, I believe we are going to be okay. So I'm definitely think that I'm supporting 100% this kind of issues, but like I told you, I prefer to save that money in order to borrow for loans, for bonds. Why? Because we are going to pay, like Mr. Marshallin, he mentioned, they for $7 million, they had to pay like $70 million back. So I mean, we need to be take care of our city. We need to take our money, and there is some options that I mentioned. Reading this grant information, and we need to start working seriously on these issues. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Mr. Hodge.
We have an opportunity to grow and modernize and use that bond money to grow and to do various important things that, again, raise the quality of your lives. So I'm learning, and you need to be skeptical, you need to be critical about the bonds, but I'm learning that bonds is an integral part of city business. I don't say to just not critically just say yes to everything, but again, for me, I've looked at this carefully. I believe in our city manager, what he's saying about the use of the bonds, and this is a good time to do it. So I'm in favor of this item.
Is that all, Mr. Hunt?
That's all.
Mr. Moreno?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I looked at this and I discussed this with our city manager. Using the money now rather than later seems like a great idea. Measure H Committee did an outstanding job. William Rocio, thank you for bringing this up to the Measure H. You should be applauded. This is a great idea. Why not start improving the things that need improvement immediately instead of waiting every year and little by little? This way we can get things done. So along with Mr. Hodge, and I believe Mr. Castro, I'm in favor of this.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno, and I am as well. The idea of having the monies at this point, I've been on council for 3 years, and when we started out, Mr. Hodge and I, parks was a priority in our minds. However, when you come to begin your service in a council like this, what your plan is and what actually happens are two different things. When we arrived, we had to focus mostly on our finances, so it took us a little while and a lot of work, and parks was not a priority. Now it is, and we realize that. We've realized that for a very long time, and we've had quite a bit of meetings. Mr. Castro and I are on the Parks Subcommittee that's working very hard to ensure that the citizens and the people who use our programs and our facilities are also well informed and are going with the program. So the program seems to be putting itself in place where the citizens will understand the program, will be able to best benefit of the program. The only thing we need is money. So I very much am in favor of this item. It's about time. And I motion for its approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Make the motion to not approve it.
Did somebody say a second over there?
I said second.
Second by Mr. Moreno. Please vote. Okay, motion passes 4-1. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, moving on. Yes. Thank you very much. This is the work we need to get done. Okay, item number 8 is the discussion and/or action on the approval of First Transit contract extension. And I have a slip here from Mr. Mark Baza, but it says to see the attached letters. So where is he at? Where did he go? There he is. Would you like for us to read this letter? Is that what you would like to do? Okay. Please bear with me. We have a letter here dated July the 2nd from the Imperial County Transportation Commission directed to me and the City of Calexico with attached letters from the City Manager of the City of Calexico, the City Manager of the City of Brawley, Ms. Rosanna Bayon Moore, and a letter from the City Manager Ruben Duran, who is the City Manager in the City of El Centro, and last but not least, our previous City Manager, Ms. Marlene Best, who is now the City Manager of the City of Imperial. The subject is the Imperial County Transportation Commission's support of a 1-year extension of the Calexico Dial-A-Ride contract, which is the item that we are looking at right now on item number 8. Honorable Mayor Hurtado and council members, the Imperial County Transportation Commission, ICTC, is submitting this letter in support of extending the Calexico Dial-A-Ride service contract for a period of 1 year. The 1-year extension will allow for operations to continue while the request for proposals for a regional consolidation of paratransit or DAR services is prepared and finalized for release. The RFP for the Consolidated Paratransit Services is tentatively scheduled to be released in December 2013 or January 2014. Since 2011, the effort to pursue a consolidated regional RFP has been supported by the City of Calexico and other cities of Brawley, El Centro, and Imperial, all of which currently provide DAR services in their respective cities. Attached are the previous letters of support provided by each city in support of pursuing a consolidated RFP. A goal of the consolidated RFP is to obtain one qualified operator through an open competitive bid process that may provide a cost savings and provide efficiencies in oversight and administration. The consolidated RFP will be developed to incorporate each of the city's tailored or customized requirements. If the RFP is successful and meets all agency requirements, an award to proceed could conceivably begin in July 2014 or date agreed upon by the cities and ICTC. If you have any questions, to contact him or David Salgado. That is the letter presented by ICTC, the Imperial County Transportation Commission, to this council in support of this item. I do not have any other speakers, so I guess we'll go ahead and bring it to council comments, starting with Mr. Kim.
Okay, I think it's not going to be famous Kim tonight because today our mayor choosing me first every time. And I think we already talked about 2 meetings, so there's nothing much to talk. My simply questioning or simply understanding to open policies to the public. That any job, any contract, we should have open RFP process to find the best job for the community. Regardless of how many been years, well, thank you for that they've been doing that years. But they might can bring some issues, or that might can be more cheaper, or that might can be better service to someone coming in. So we never know. We're just using the semi-compact system to, okay, you've been working here, so okay, you can work later on. Regardless of what kind of a condition we can have it, just keeping giving them job and keeping giving them job. That's one of the reasons city of Calexico is been leaching by our people. That's why we have the quality service in the Calexico right now. That's why a lot of people leaving. According to the IID person, they said little after the 1990, IID county in Calexico, city of Calexico, about this year they're going to be over $100,000 population because they were growing fast. But suddenly they stopped it. Why? Because our city of Calexico didn't function right. People start disappointing and they're leaving. A lot of people in the valley, they were former Calexico residents. If they stay here, Calexico could be more than 100,000 people right now. So we're failing ourselves. Look at that, well, Calexico, only Calexico, city of Calexico closing the Friday.
Calexico.
We are the second largest cities, that we're still in trouble. Why? Because somebody doesn't do their job right. It's the same things. We need to open the position, any contract to open to the public, competitive bidding process to bring the best service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Castro, before you begin, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you the last time. I believe that you do have a conflict on this item because your family does own a bus company, and I did ask you that the last time, and I'll go ahead and ask you one more time, please.
But that's your belief. I don't have no conflict on that. May I continue?
Sure.
Make some comments?
I just wanted to make sure that we clarify that because we don't want to involve ourselves in conversations where your participation may not be, it may be a conflict. So that does concern me, and I want to make sure that it is clarified for the public because it is questions that the public does ask me, and I think it's important and proper to ask the question to you at this time. So you are indicating you do not have a conflict?
I already answered that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So go ahead, Mr. Castro.
Okay. What Mr. Kim saying is true. I mean, I believe this is gonna be the third or the second meeting related to this issue. You know, the people, the customers who are using this service, the majority are the people are low-income people. You know, Calexico is very unique. It's kind of different from the whole valley. Why? Because the people are very humble. The majority of the people are very humble. The majority of the people, they dedicate to work, not to come to these meetings. not to see what's going on. You know what? The people are desperate to work, to pay attention to their families, to their kids. The people are very humble. If the city of Calexico start working in a good survey to ask the customers, the people, the riders who use this service, I mean, right away, you're gonna find that there is so many bad issues against this company. And I know the majority of the people that are in favor of this transit service, I know they're gonna think, or they think that it's because Mr. Castro, he's trying to what's the word, to talk about bad issues about the service. But there's so many bad issues. Also, what I remember, city manager, you receive a letter that this transit service, they pick up and drop off general people, not only seniors. And that's concerned me, because we're talking about public funds. We're talking about federal money. This is very serious, and I haven't seen nothing yet from the city of Calexico. And those issues, that's the reason that I concern.
Thank you, Mr.
To open, let me finish just one.
Sure, go ahead.
Few words. That's the reason I would like to request to open that contract to for RSP, request for proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Mr. Hodge? Mr. Hodge, just so that we can remind the audience, this is the third time that we've discussed this, because on two occasions, the first occasion, we did not have a full board to be able to vote appropriately, and then the last time, it was kind of similar situation, but you were not here. And because you are the ICTC representative, we did discuss that it would be more proper to provide you the opportunity and the respect of being here when we have that conversation, because we know how hard you are working with the ICTC.
Appreciate that, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
First of all, Calexico Transit needs to be respected and protected in our community. They provide years of service, and any time there's an opportunity to subsidize and help that company, I will move forward on that. But I do sit on ICTC, and the argument that there are a lot of bad issues about First Transit, but yet we don't really have the proof because the people are humble and don't speak up. I'm sorry, that is, in my opinion, a weak argument. ICTC has done surveys or whatever you want to say, investigations, and they have not come to any evidence that is the truth. It could be, but at this point in time, I don't have hard evidence for me to agree to that argument. At the end of extending a year, there will be a bidding process, and that's transparent and that's democratic. And that means that our company here in Calexico will have that opportunity to be part of that bid, and I hope that happens. And I am also leery about disrupting service. I don't want that to happen to our senior citizens. So I am in favor of extending the service for 1 year, and then at the end, a bidding process will happen. Yes, maybe people will argue that First Transit has an advantage, but I have faith that it will be transparent and fair. And that will be an opportunity for Calexico Transit to be part of that bid. But I'm going to support this item, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the one-year extension with First Transit Incorporated, option number 3, that is on our council agenda fact sheet.
Okay, thank you. Then you are motioning to approve this item, more specifically item number 3, which indicates approve one-year contract extension with First Transit Incorporated with a 3% per hour rate increase, and authorize city manager to sign amendment number 1 to the agreement between the City of Calexico and First Transit for ADA/senior paratransit services. Do I have a second on that?
I second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Amend the motion.
We have a first and a
Amend the
second.
motion.
We have a first and a second, Mr. Kim.
Yeah, no, I'm amending motion. So once it's a second, the motion belongs to council.
Second for discussion.
I have any council member, they have ability to.
I believe you're mistaken. Once there's a motion on the floor, there's a second that needs to be taken action on.
Yes, I'm asking Mr.
Approved by the second.
Mr. Kim?
The council
Mr. Kim?
that belongs.
Mr. Kim, what is it that you want?
What I want?
Yeah.
I can take care of your worries.
Mr. Kim.
Which is, we just extended instead of 1 year,
Mr.
6
Kim.
months extensions. So we can have enough time, 9 months, we can get the RFP process.
My motion, Madam Mayor, is to option number 3 extended for 1 year, and I believe there's a second by Mr. Hodge.
Second that,
Yeah,
Councilman
but
Kim.
I'm making amendment.
You want to?
Mr.
I will
Kim,
not amend my motion.
I'm going to just remind you once again, once there's a motion on the floor, we need to entertain that motion before we entertain any others, and I'm sorry about that.
Yes,
City
yes.
Manager, we need that retreat.
Okay, lawyers, we
Ms.
have lawyers
Foster
that can ask it?
interjected.
We need to take action on the motion that's on the floor now, and if it fails, we can take up another motion.
Thank you.
Well, by the Robertson rules, when they approve the second, that there's a motion.
Madam Mayor, I call
belongs
for
to
the
committee.
question. There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. There needs to be taken action on this motion only.
Mr. Kim, there is a first by Mr. Moreno, and there is a second by Mr. Hodge.
Yes, by the
And we
Robertson
just
rules.
asked legal for her opinion, and she just told you that we need to conclude this motion and the second with a vote previous to entertaining any others.
And if it fails, you have the right, Mr. Kim, to move
Correct,
forward.
and I will give you that
No,
right, Mr.
the
Kim.
next time I'll bring the
The right
Robertson
to
rules.
have a vote at this time is on this side of the dais, and we are going to proceed. Okay, may I please vote, gentlemen? And this is to approve item number 8, and more specifically, number 3, which is the approval of one-year contract extension. Okay, thank you very much. Motion passes 3-2. Thank you very much, and congratulations, First Transit, and so sorry for the continuous, never-ending meetings. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, item number 9, moving on, is discussion and/or action on the approval of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico in its capacity as legislative body to the City of Calexico Community Facilities District Number 2003-1, Bravo Rodiles, authorizing the levy of special taxes within such district for fiscal year 2013-14.
Madam Mayor, I move for its approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second for the approval of item number 9. Please vote.
I have discussions.
Again, once again, it's the same issue as the last item, Mr. Kim, that once we have a first and a second, we must entertain those
We
motions
have a
on the
discussion
item.
time. We have to discuss.
If Mr. Hodge would have wanted discussion, or if you would have wanted, you should, I believe that the issue is you need to speak up a little faster, maybe.
Well, though, I
We do
have
have
like
a
to
motion
discuss.
and a second on the floor. If you'd like to vote, please.
We have to have a discussion time.
Please
No, we
vote.
don't have to have a discussion.
We don't have. We have to have
No,
a
we don't.
discussion times.
It's up to the
Yes.
man who second, or the member who seconded to say a discussion or not.
The Robertson
Mr.
rules
Kim,
doesn't say that.
I suggest that once the
No.
meeting is over,
When
that
the
you
second
meet.
we have a discussion, we
Mr.
have to
Kim,
have
I am
discussion
speaking.
time.
Sorry, you are
We
incorrect.
have to have a discussion
Mr.
time.
Kim, I am speaking. This is the problem.
So you guys are illegally to doing things wrong. The wrongdoing is you're just shutting me down to the fellow
No,
council
sir,
member.
we are taking steps to ask for a legal opinion throughout, and you are listening just as everyone else here is in the audience for the legal opinion. No one is shutting you down. This is a legal process, sir.
Yes.
Again, I'm not going
Yes,
to
I have a
entertain
right
any
to
more
discuss.
of your interferences. I'm going to
No, I'm not
appreciate
interfering.
that you stop interfering.
I'm not interfering.
When I am speaking, I want to be given the
exercising my
respect.
right to discuss.
I have not interrupted you.
I have my right. I have my right to
Mr.
discuss.
Moreno, you have a first. Mr. Hodge, you have a second. Please
I'm
vote.
exercising my right of the discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
May I say something?
I'm refusing this.
Okay, if you don't want to take a vote, Mr. Kim, you can place your vote on that white button, and that's an abstention
I'm
from
not
voting.
participating.
Okay.
Because I cannot
So
speak.
we have a motion passes 3-1 with Mr. Kim not voting. Thank you very much.
Councilman
Mr.
Kim.
Mr. Hodge, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to be neutral here and listen to your objections. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but to discuss it or argue over it, it's about procedure here. And I want to learn what is correct, and I respect that you have a different opinion. But let's get the evidence, or let's at another time in another place, let's sit down and all come to a consensus is what is the proper procedure here. We can all learn about that. And that needs to be respected, Councilman Kim. You may be right, but we need to investigate, research. We need to find the evidence. And
Well, I
if the
have evidence. I have a Robertson rules here.
Well, I'm just questioning the procedure, Councilman Kim. I was learned that the way Councilman Moreno's pointed it out, that was the correct way. But you may be right, but maybe later we can find out what is the truth here, and we can all agree so we can move these meetings in an efficient manner.
And
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Hodge, if I may, Madam Mayor. We've already discussed this item twice before at
Three times.
three times at the previous meetings. And I'm sure the people in the audience, the staff here, does not want to sit through another long time with your similar questions. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's move on. Item number 10 is appointment by Councilman Castro to the Finance Advisory Commission. Mr. Castro.
Yes, I would like to appoint Mrs. Annette Wagner. That's the last name. Annette Wagner for the Commission of Finance Advisory Board.
Thank you. Congratulations, Annette. Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on. Moving on to item number 11, I have 2 public comments. First will be Ms. Alicia Marquez. I'm sorry, Esther Alicia Marquez on item number 11, which is the appointment by the City Council to the Calexico Housing Authority.
Hi. Your Honorable Mayor and fellow councilmen for the City of Calexico. My name is Esther Alicia Marquez, and I'm asking that you consider me for Public Housing Commissioner. I was born, raised, and educated here in Calexico. I know Calexico by heart and the people that reside in my city as well. I have had the privilege of being a single mom of low income. I say a privilege because in order to truly understand the needs of my city low-income families, I had to live the part to understand what it is truly lacking in our city, especially the low-income families. Our city is screaming for help in every way possible, and even though there has been progress, it has not been enough. That is why I'm here standing in front of you face to face, promising that if chosen, I will pledge under oath under the 17th ethics of the Code of Professional Ethics for the Public Housing Commissioners. I pledge myself to be professional and work as a team with my colleagues and superiors. I will take advantage of my position not for personal use, but as a key to serve my community, my state, and my nation in order to provide a decent, safe, and sanitary home and a suitable living environment for every American family. I will do my greatest to be an example leader to my community and a great advocate for the Commission's, its programs and objectives. But overall, I promise to bring immediate positive change to our city. Thank you. I am Esther Alicia Marquez, future leader of Calexico.
Okay, next speaker, thank you, Ms. Marquez. Next speaker is Orlando Johnson.
Madam Mayor and council members, I'm here on behalf of the Housing Authority, of which the appointments will be made tonight. I'm here to support Richard Romero's reappointment, as he's our current chairman, and then Carla Flores, whose term will be up next month, and as well as Emma Rosa Silva's, actually in August. But I'd just like to say that when you have a board member who's up for reappointment that wants to be here, I can't see why you wouldn't reappoint an individual like that. I sit on 2 commissions, of which I've been a commissioner for 20 years on each one in the city of El Centro. And I'm on those commissions because I wanted to be there. I had no aspirations to, escalate to city council, board of supervisors. I wanted to be at that level. The individuals that I'm talking about have that aspiration. Their commitment is for the city, the housing authority, and the community. And I cannot see why these 3 individuals, but for tonight, Richard Romero, would not be reappointed. So I provided you with a letter, a resolution from the Board of Commissioners from the Housing Authority requesting reappointment of Richard Romero, Carla Flores, and Emma Rosa Silva as the resident commissioner back to the Housing Authority Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Richard Romero.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I've had the pleasure of serving the commission for the past 8 years, and have done a lot. We're classified as a high performer by HUD, and I would like to continue serving that commission and serve the needy of Calexico. I have over 27 and a half years of experience as finance manager for the city of El Centro, and I've served on many commissions. I've served in the Clínica de Salud de Pueblo as a board member for 8 years. I served on the ARC board as a member for 6 years. I served in the Planning Commission for 6 years. And I currently serve on the Personnel Commission for the Housing Authority. So I would like to have your support in getting reappointed to serve the citizens of Calexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Okay, I have no more slips for this item. We'll have council discussion, starting with you, Mr. Kim.
Well, I think Mr. Romero was been heck of a good job in the Housing Authority. How many years you've been talking? 8 years. 8 years sitting. I believe we have 7 members on Housing Authority.
Yes, sir.
Actually, he's my neighbors. We are living together, the same areas, and. But last time I'm dealing with the issues in the Housing Authority to explain what is going on there. I strongly convinced we need to change the blood in the system. So that way new blood can bring a new idea to serve our community in different way. At the same time, I have a lot of respect to what Mr. Romero done there. So I have my debating right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Castro?
Well, in my case, I'm been reviewing the applications, and I believe the majority who are here for the application are and consider all are capable. And for me, that I remember, this is my first time, and this is my first time that I remember that we appoint someone from the housing authority, and I do not know how is the process is. What I know. Every council can appoint someone, but I've been talking to. I spoke with City Manager Rodriguez, and he told me that that's not the way to choose the people who want to be on that housing community, on that board. So in this case, I would like Mr. Bill Hodge, he mentioned, teach me. I would like to. I like that word when you say that, Mr. Hodge. Okay. Teach me. So.
Teach me.
Right now, will you please teach me?
Yeah. That's very good.
Okay, is that all, Mr. Castro? Okay. Mr. Hodge.
All these people on this list are to be respected for their integrity and how they care, and I applaud them for coming forward, but only one has to be chosen. But I want to, Ricardo Lopez, you know I respect you and your efforts in the community, sir. Arturo Rieseco and Esther Marquez, you are a real addition. I hope we see more of you. For me, I like when younger people want to step up and get involved. And so I thank you for coming forward. But I'm going to go with experience and expertise. But I just want to say, and I need to learn more about the Housing Authority. When are there meetings that one can go and observe? Or
Second Thursday of the month.
Second what?
Second Thursday of the month.
Second Thursday. Okay, I'll inquire more of the specifics.
5:30. I almost forgot. 5:30.
Second Thursday. Okay. But the people on the Housing Authority, it's not all about numbers. Rules are to be respected, but when you're dealing with human beings, there needs to be some extra sensitivity. It's not all about numbers, Mr. Romero. And so I hope that whatever you guys are doing, I hear you're doing a great job, but I've heard some other comments about that we've gotten tough on the rules and regulations, and so be it, but I don't like it at the expense of human suffering. So, but you are highly qualified, sir, so I'm going to support you.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Moreno?
I agree with Mr. Hodge. We've got some excellent candidates on board. I spoke with Ms. Marquez, and I said, I like your enthusiasm. However, at this time, I've shown my support to Mr. Romero. I think maybe serving on another board, I think, would be ideal for you. And Mr. Lopez, I've had some conversations with him as well, and Mr. Rioseco, former city councilman. This is great that we have the interest that people want to serve on this board, and getting a resolution and an endorsement from the executive director also helps a lot. So, like Mr. Hodge, I'll be supporting Mr. Romero, and if I need to make a motion, I will. I move that we appoint Mr. Romero.
I'll second that.
Okay. Let's vote. Okay, motion does not pass. Do I have any other motions on the table?
I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Rioseco.
Seconded.
Okay, first and a second. Please vote.
Rioseco.
Rioseco.
Jeez.
just going to go down the line.
Well, you know,
Are you done with voting then, Mr. Hodge?
I supported Mr. Romero, but since that's aced out, then we need to move forward and select somebody.
Okay, motion passes then to select Mr. Arturo Rioseco as the next
That was a
commissioner.
surprise to me.
Vote is 3-2. Thank you very much.
I have to, along that one, I gonna pull out Mr. Rioseco from the police commissioners.
I believe that would be an item for future discussion with Mr. Rodriguez so that we can get that on the next agenda.
Madam Mayor? Can I comment?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Romo.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, I keep missing you because it's just, maybe we might want to have a...
I know, it's very confusing.
I need a slip for each one.
Basically, I tend to go with the experience. Whomever you appoint, I don't care. It's a public commissioners. And by logic, you will hire a council, a city manager, or due to qualifications. That's a given. Whatever you did tonight, it doesn't matter. There is, however, concerns within the community about, that's what I wanted to say. It's your appointments, that's it. One thing I would like to add, Mr. Kim, Mr. Castro, if you're not familiar with the parliamentary laws, or, I'm sorry, that's not the, if you're not familiar with the appointments to the Housing Authority Board, I suggest that you convene with Mr. Rodriguez. He was a needy before, and if you need me for anything, I will be available to provide you with some assistance as far as the appointments, as far as the health and safety goes. And so the next time, I believe you go on your qualifications, Mr. Kim, Mr. Castro, Mr. Hodge, Mr. Romero, Mr. Moreno, and Mayor. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Romo.
Thank you, Mr. Romo. Well, that concludes item number 11. We're going to be moving on now to item number 12, but before that, because we've been here for over 3 hours, I think I'm going to take a 5-minute break and let everybody take a little rest, especially me, and we will
Hang on,
reconvene
media. Hang on.
in 5 minutes.